Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome live on this Saturday morning. It is April 17th, 2021, to the 794th episode of Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, she's all the way over there at the moment, but she'll be joining us. Do we have noise machines? Oh, I don't think or did I take them out? I'm not sure I took them out yesterday. Or, no, I have them here. So we have, what do we have here?
Them on the floor. Give a hint.
Okay, which noise would you like to start the show with, dear?
Random noise.
Random noise. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes and make some random noise.
Whatever.
That's about as random as it gets, isn't it? Let's do it again.
Whatever.
So, we do basically whatever we like here on Dave's Gone By, which is essentially a mix.
Oscar party.
Are we having an Oscar party?
Yeah.
No.
Just with you and me.
Actually, this is the rare time that we've seen like two of the big Oscar movies
Oh, really?
this year, because we saw Ma Rainey's Black Bottom
Oh.
and we watched the other one. They're both very good, and I forget what the other one was. But usually, Joyce and I never go out to movies. We watch either movies from years ago on Netflix or mostly series on Netflix. So this is the rare time when we look at the Oscar thing. Oh, wait a minute. We saw those two films. Nothing else, but we saw those. But anywho, no, we do a Tony show
Oh, yes.
every year on Dave's Gone By to celebrate the theater. And in fact, every week on Dave's Gone By, one segment that we do is called Inside Broadway, where I give you a little bit of a taste of what is or isn't happening on the stages of New York. Not much yet, but things are starting, just slowly cranking up and starting. But so Inside Broadway we also have our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment, and that is where we from living in Greeley, Colorado, the local newspaper there, the beloved Greeley Tribune, one of the things that it does besides its regular news and so forth is have two columns every week where the columnists go through public record. In other words, anybody can basically do the Freedom of Information Act thing and get this information. But the newspaper, first of all, goes to the local police department and gets the records of all the calls that come in. Now, a lot of them are just basic, there's a prowler, I think there's a prowler, I'm a prowler. They call the police to tell these things.
Sometimes there's an attack squirrel.
Sometimes there's a squirrel attacking people. My favorite one, I didn't even notice. This is the thing. We were living in Greeley for a couple of years, and I get the newspaper. The newspaper, I don't know if it still is, but it used to be free if you were on the campus of the university there, so you just pick one up and read it. And, I go through it looking for the news and looking for mentions of the university and see how the football team was doing, which was always terrible. And I see this column of police blogger, cop log, and I'd be like, whatever, I don't really care about local crime that much unless it affects me. And then one time, the headline of this column / news item was police log or cop blotter, horse poops on fence. And I was like, I did about 6 double takes and spat out my coffee, and I'm like, what? And it turned out one of the things in that blotter, that item, where they gathered all these phone calls that came into the local police department in Greeley, Colorado. And so people call in, they see trouble in the neighborhood, and they want to report it to the cops, right? So they, one of the things that people reported was a guy was having an issue that his neighbor's horse came over and pooped down his side of the fence. And this was it, and this made the papers. And this was a signal to me that A, I had been missing maybe the most important newspaper column ever in my life, and B, that it was kind of cool living in a city where the headline wasn't, guy walks into Subway with machine gun and bullets available, and a bong. I don't know if you read that story yesterday. A guy was literally in the Times Square subway.
The combo.
Yeah, it was like he had an automatic weapon or semi-automatic weapon. He had, it was unloaded. He had bullets with him, And he also had a bong and some marijuana. And I don't know what they could have arrested him on, because he was licensed for the gun, and the pot was legal.
Carry an open gun.
Yeah, I guess you can. That's true.
You can't go like on the subway. That's like Bernard Getz.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. It takes 5 seconds to load a gun.
Yeah. No, Getz was, it was a conceal, but he didn't have a permit. So if he had a permit for the gun, he might have not done like a year in jail or whatever. But so this guy, so living in New York, I grew up in New York, lived in New York all my life before, excuse me, moving to Colorado, right? And so going from a place where, some potential lunatic walked onto the subway with an open submachine gun. Yeah, what do they call those things that the bandoleros wear with the bullets like this?
I don't know.
They're the cross like Pancho Villa thing, and then and a bong, because, right?
Well, we had a friend, and the friend's like, yeah, but it wasn't loaded.
Right.
And they went to the hotel room and they found some other stuff, right?
I think all they found in the hotel was more marijuana paraphernalia. They didn't find any weapons. They didn't find the cash or the bomb maker's handbook or the anarchist cook. They didn't find any of that. They just found more weed. So it's kind of great. But that's New York, right? And then this is, and crazies on the subway and crazies on the street and all of it. But there's this town, this city, which also has its share of crime. But if a horse pooping on a fence can make the newspaper, this is a place I want to be. And then I realize that column in the Greeley Tribune is devoted to the most ridiculous calls that the police department gets. The calls that are like, some neighbor sees something that is completely innocuous or stupid, phones it in, because you want safety and security in your neighborhood. And the police have to kind of take the call. There's a dispatcher noting it down. Sometimes the police have to actually go and check it out. So they gather these once a week in the Tribune, and they call this Cop Log. And then we share the best ones with you, and we also mix them up with another item, another column in this same wonderful newspaper. I've shown you this headline so many times, but it's so beautiful. Here it is. It's All the Ways a Tree Can Kill You. This is an actual photo. This is not an artist's rendering. This was done on a body cam from some bushes. But so the other one is called 100 Years Ago. And this is where our friend of the Daverhood, Mike Peters, who has worked at the Tribune literally for decades, but not that many decades, he goes into the paper from 100 years ago and plucks out the nostalgic, cute, funny from our much later point of view items that were in the newspaper in 1921. And he shares those in the weekly paper, and those are fun too. We mix them up and we call them Greeley Crimes and Old Times right here on Dave's Gone By. That's another one of our segments. We also, what else are we doing? We have our Today, Yesterday Trivia Quiz. And it's basically a contest with panelists where they get to answer questions, trivia questions. You try and maybe beat them to the buzzer at home if you so choose, or you just watch them answer the questions. Kind of a Jeopardy-esque thing. We'll have our two regular panelists, Leslie Hoban Blake and David Sheward, with us. That'll be a bit later in the program, and they will be playing against our very, very special guest in the Daverhood. You notice that we're calling this particular episode Tower of London, and my wife so creatively made a beautiful tower going up to the clouds here. She made a tower. See, they're kind of like twin towersy, so I hope they don't fall down by the end of the show. But Frank London, Tower of Frank London, is going to be the guest in the Daverhood. Now, Frank London has been a music maker for a few decades now, best known for his going into certain rootsy klezmer, but also taking klezmer far past that. We've had some klezmer musicians on the show, Hank Sapoznik, and we had the late Velvel Pasternak, who was a klezmer musicologist, and we've had a few other people. Vince Giordano has played some klezmer here and there, but it's not his thing. But Frank London, man, he is one of the founding members of the Klezmatics, right? They were the folks who just took klezmer to that other level. It was like, oh, it's this wedding thing, this bar mitzvah, and the Orthodox use it, and it was cute back in Eastern Europe 150 years ago, whatever. And then Frank London said, no, man. Him and people like, I think it was is it Don Byron, the black jazz guy? He was, it was not Dom Perignon. It was, although his music was kind of bubbly. Yes, indeed. Hey, why is having a fake ailment like Dom Perignon?
Why?
Because it's a champagne. Oh. Get it? I need my noise. Where's oh, I put the noisemakers over there, but they're there. Anywho, you can at least say ba-dum-bum.
Ba-dum-bum.
Thank you very much. Let's try that again. Why is having a fake ailment like a bottle of Dom Perignon?
I don't know.
Because it's a champagne.
Ba-dum-bum.
Oh, thank you ever so much. Yeah, we're a mix of comedy. Joyce was asking me earlier in the week, when I try and tell people about this show on Facebook, or we try and put stories about it up on Twitter, and how do you describe this thing every week? And I'm saying, it's a mix of humor and talk and culture and interviews. Some agglomeration of that, which it is. And it's what we've been doing since October of 2002, when we first went on the air on Long Island, late night, 11 o'clock at night, Sunday nights on terrestrial radio. And here we are 18 and a half years later doing this on Facebook every morning, or every Saturday morning from 9 until noon or thereabouts. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who loves or cares about Jewish music or jazz music in general that Frank London is going to be with us in the Daverhood. He's done a lot more than just, quote-unquote, co-found the Klezmatics. He has played with everyone from Mel Torme to our friend of the Daverhood, Jane Siberry, to Ben Folds 5, John Zorn, Itzhak Perlman, and he's released a bunch of albums. He's got another band up. What are they called? They're called the Les Miserables Brass Band.
Wow.
Swear to God. And some other klezmer stuff as well. So Frank London, and he's got a new album out. And this is so perfect for the person who's going to be interviewing him. You think Jewish, and I'm Jewish. Joyce is Jewish. So it's almost 15 minutes into the show. Yeah. We have not yet mentioned the Holocaust. I apologize for this. You cannot be Jewish without at some point mentioning the Holocaust. And therefore, we just made it in under the wire for the first 15 minutes. Frank London's new album, which you can get in any place that albums are sold, is called Ghetto Songs. And they're songs
from the Jewish ghetto.
From like Warsaw, not just Jewish though, from all different kinds of ghettos, of all different kinds of cultures. It's ghetto songs, and you can ghetto it. Get it? Ghetto it? That's terrible. Don't do a ba-dum-bum. That's not worth a ba-dum-bum.
Oh, David. Oh, Mr. David.
That's good. Actually, I like ba-dum-boom.
Oh, Mr. David. Ba-dum-boom.
Yeah, this is kind of like ba-dum-bum. That's the high. Then you know you have the great joke. Or you take a bad joke and you try to save it with the snare drum. But to go ba-dum-boom, that's comedy hell. That's the moment when you know nothing saves the joke, and even the greatest, what do they call it? The frill, the trill, the taradiddle, perhaps? The sting. What do you call it? A taradiddle is when they...
You could ask the klezmer.
I will indeed. And I'm saving, of course, the klezmer joke that I tell every single time for when he gets here. But alas, I will not be the one talking to Frank London when he gets here on this episode of Dave's Gone By. That honor will go to the one, the only, the Jewish Rabbi Sol Solomon. Yes, Rabbi Sol has been kind of busy this week. He's been preparing to chat with Frank London about music, about his career, about Jewishness, of course. And Rabbi Sol also has put himself forward. He puts himself out there sometimes. There's an off-Broadway theater company that's been around for a couple of decades now called MCC. Used to stand for Manhattan Class Company. I don't know if they still...
Manhattan Community College.
No, it's not Borough Manhattan Community College. This is MCC, Manhattan Class Company. They go by MCC now. And one of their things, one of the ways they raise money, and we're doing this before the pandemic, was this cool idea for a benefit where they would get well-known actors and Broadway people and cabaret people to sing songs that they would never get the chance to sing, at least in public or in a professional situation. Technically, they would call these benefits miscast. And the idea was you would not hear, Philip Bosco or Nathan Lane or someone like that ever get the chance to sing I Feel Pretty from West Side Story, because there would not be Maria. Even in these times when women are playing men and gender is just flying out the window, there is a point when Denzel Washington's not going to sing I Feel Pretty, even though he could, maybe, I don't know if he sings.
I think he does.
He could, potentially he could. So, Brian Stokes Mitchell, okay, who's a fairly pretty man in his way, but he's still not going to sing that. He's not going to sing I Am 16 Going on 17 from The Sound of Music. So he would never get to sing that, but he might sing a beautiful version of it. Well, Miscast is this kind of opportunity for singers to sing a song that they'd never be in that show, or they never play that role, or that kind of role, anywhere. It wouldn't happen. So you got men doing songs generally for women, a lot of women finally being able to sing songs that were written for men. You could have someone, Patti LuPone could do Soliloquy from Carousel. It's that idea, and sometimes it's real funny, and sometimes it turns out more serious. So they've been doing these miscast benefits for a while, and wouldn't you know, they had an open call, because these are pandemical times still, for just people and singers and actors from wherever to send in their auditions, I guess you will, or their little self-tapes to be part of Miscast 2021. And I don't know why I'm talking like Bill Shatner now.
Like Bill Shatner?
I don't know. That just happened. That's scary.
Bill Shatner, what happened?
And something happens when you're over 55 and male. You become
William
Shatner. Because, and let's face it, if there is the beginnings of Miscast, it might have been in Golden Throats, the Rhino series, where it highlighted William Shatner's The Illustrated Man. It just occurred to me. That classic album, who should be singing, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? A lot of people, especially John Lennon, not William Shatner. And yet if you go on The Illustrated Man, his album from 1960, whatever, it says, picture yourself on a boat in a river with tangerine trees and marmalade sky. It's fantastic in a horrible way. So Miscast kind of plays on that idea too. Well, Rabbi Sol Solomon realizes that there are certain roles and certain parts he would never... Actually, no one would ever cast him in anything. He's horrible to work with and no talent.
He could do Annie.
He could do Annie. I may have to remind him. Could you remind him that later? He might want to do a song from... tomorrow. I would love to see him as that little orphan. There's like all these little moppets running around, and they're cowed by Miss Hannigan, and he comes out there, and he would just do an angry version of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's an F.U. to Miss Hannigan. It's like, you know what, the sun will come out tomorrow, you bitch. He'll probably throw that in. So anyway, Rabbi Sol is a particular personality, but he decided to take part in this Miscast 2021 that MCC is going to be doing in a week or two. And so he sent in his self-tape. And of course, he's heard nothing since. It's just been radio silence. But, ladies and gentlemen, we here in the Daverhood, we have the honor. We will be debuting it here. And you will get to sing. It's very short. They don't want the whole song. They just want it like a 30-second clip of you doing a song that, quote, you would be miscast singing. So Rabbi Sol looked around and said, what would be appropriately inappropriate for Rabbi Sol Solomon to sing? I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I will give you a clue. It is a show that was done literally 50 years ago on Broadway. Not the kind of show you would expect to have made Broadway even then. And what else can I tell you? And they're thinking seriously of the times that we're in, of reviving.
Someone gave you a lot of thumbs up. I don't know who I.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for all the thumbs up. This is a show that they really, in 21, 22, probably in 22, 23, they're going to revive on Broadway.
Rodolfo.
Hey, Rodolfo. Hey, how you doing, Rodolfo?
You got love from somebody, and you got all sorts of things.
Well, yeah. So let me know who's giving thumbs up and who's saying hi.
I can't see it. They come up first, and then the names.
Oh, and then they disappear? Oh.
Yeah,
Well, if I can't mention you by name or give you a shout out, know that we're happy.
I just basically shut down all my tabs on my browser.
That's not good.
I'm gonna scream.
Oh well.
I gotta find you again now.
Oh no, I'm lost on Facebook somewhere. If you ever lose me, remember that the Facebook name is Dave's Gone By.
That's what I'm gonna do.
The main website for the show is davesgoneby.com. Remember, it's Dave like my name, DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby.com. And when I say that is the real place for information about this show, remember that all our archives reside there. So I mentioned that we started the show in October of 2002 on terrestrial radio.
Show them the numbers you're up to, honey.
Well, we're at 794. Number 1 is up on that website. So is number 2 is gone because I flushed it. But show number 2, get it, hon?
Oh, Mr. David Body.
But oh, that's good too. I like the wah. So, yeah, we lost episode number 2, but number 3 is there, and 4 and 5. It was, let's just say, engineer malfunction.
What does that mean?
It means they didn't record it.
Oh, you mean Paul had with his ADHD?
Yeah,
out,
basically.
Was off his meds, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And back then I didn't have a real mechanism for recording at home.
No.
So it was like, didn't have the radio on to put a recorder next to it.
We should do a missing episode relaunch, right?
We could. Well, there's certain segments of it that were somewhat salvaged. And then we lost episode 2, and I think we lost episode 9. And then we lost one of the Tony episodes that didn't get recorded. That broke my heart.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Again, a recording thing. I thought I was recording, or I had it, or something happened where it didn't get.
So how many out of that almost 800?
I think 4.
That's a really good percentage.
We lost 4 episodes out of literally, as Joyce says, 800. There was another, and this was really, really nice of him. Theodore Bickel.
Oh.
We recorded an interview with him, and this is obviously when he was still alive, and it was a long day. I think I was working 2 shifts at the radio station because I wasn't just hosting the show. I had a minimum wage paying board operator job.
Both night and day.
Well, I worked both nights. I was there about 12 to 13 hours. And at the end, I was doing something with the recorder and hit like blank erase on this mini disc rather than save or something. And it just, I literally, I think I slammed a chair after I did that. I was just, apoplectic.
Things happen, like if you delete, undelete, it's very scary.
Yeah. But the great part is Bickel, months later, was doing something else. And we got him back on the show, and we did another interview. So we did. If you want to hear that interview that we did save with Theodore Bickel, it's on davesgoneby.com.
That's so cool.
It really is. It really is. And there's certain episodes where we have some technical difficulties or parts of the episodes got cut out. But
why
honestly,
the video didn't work? Because I learned from the film that E.T. did yesterday. You have to start the sound before you share screen. That was why.
Really?
Yeah. We figured it out.
Oh, well, there you go. Remember was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
You were ranting about the operating system
of
Apple.
Oh, well, yeah. There's 2 different things going on. But yes, they're both connected, really.
Yes.
So a week ago, I had to apologize because we had pre-recorded our interview with the guest. And all we had to do was play it, share the screen in Zoom, and share it up on Facebook, no problem. And we started playing it, and visually it was fine, but no audio. Could not get the audio to work. So I just directed everybody. I said, look, we have the video on this. Just go to the website. You can watch it after the show. It was kind of embarrassing and awful. But that is all apropos of saying and repeating and reiterating, and I think I mentioned this last week, Big Sur Sucks. I'll repeat that. Big Sur.
I couldn't remember the
sucks. What the Apple, which is a great mechanism, which is, I grew up on PCs for 2 or 3 decades. I was a PC guy and couldn't quite get the thing of why Apple would be so great, and it's more visual and it's better for graphic. I'm do graphic arts, I don't care. So a PC guy, it makes sense. Files and folders and then at some point I had to work on an Apple. And I was like, I like this. I do like this. And the 2 laptops that I've had over the past few years have been Apple Macs, and they're wonderful. But I've had this Mac probably about 3-4 years now, and it's been fabulous. And then about a month ago, I was like, do you want to upgrade your operating system? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's like a PC. They'll say, hey, the thing about PCs is every couple of weeks, they're like, your PC, you have to do this now. You have to stop what you're doing, shut down.
Fauci just announced you can get COVID by passing gas.
Okay, hold that thought. So I'm loading. You can't help it, as you all know, with a PC, whether you like it or not. You might finish working on your computer for the night, put it to bed, and then turn it on in the morning. And before you can even use it, it takes half an hour or 40 minutes. So that you're getting an automatic upgrade. And you figure it's going to be 3 minutes.
Apple, you can time it more, but you have to do it on a PC. iOS, you have options.
Yeah, and a PC, sometimes they'll say, do you want to restart in an hour? Do you want to restart in 3 hours? But sometimes it's just like, I'm gonna get some stuff. I have to do something. I have to have a meeting. And then the PC is like up to 3%. 5%. And 5% goes on for 5 minutes, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So Apple's been great, and every once in a while Apple has a big update, or Apple will have an automatic update, but the operating system stays, right? And then you figure, sometimes the Apple gets a little slow, or maybe this is buggy, or maybe, it's a security thing. Apple's really good where I don't have to worry about Norton this or virus that. So, fine. And then Apple says, do you want to go from whatever I was, Catalina or Petaluma, whatever the thing was before, do you want to load up Big Sur? It's only X amount more gig.
Just say no.
But it'll help clean up your system. It'll make things run better. So I'm like, sure, Big Sur, And 45 minutes later, it's on, no problem. And I'm telling you, parts of it, it's not unbelievably horrible, but things that were working just fine are now more problematic. The look I don't like as much. Of the icons on down on the bottom of the Mac. And by the way, feel free to message me and share on Facebook your experiences with this. I use text.
David, the people who are on Big Sur can't get your show.
Yeah, but one of the things I have to use, because I put things on websites and I have HTML coding and things like that, instead of using Pages or MS Word, is doing a lot of things in text. And ASCII text format. Remember ASCII? And if you've ever had an ASCII, you know how hard it is to open that thing up.
Oh, Mr. David.
Thank you. So, but somehow now, when I want to use just text editor on files that I have, and some of them are pretty long, because it's just, and it's pure data. There's no coding in there except a little piece of a bold. Start bold, end bold, start italics, end italics.
That's
but the thing is, I'll try and open a file, I get a blank window. I close the window, try and open it up, fine. If it's a big file, suddenly I get the spinny Apple wheel. Reminds me of the hourglass thing I used to get on a PC back in the 1990s.
You need to sing Baby Shark.
Baby Shark. No, so text has gone way downhill, and it's one of the most important things. And it should be the simplest goddamn thing. Open a window. I sound like Rabbi Sol now, but open a blank place to write in with no coding. That's the point. It's got no coding. You paste just letters and numbers in it, and you save it. And this is now a problem, right? And Big Sur also, iTunes looks horrible. Or they call it Apple Music now. It's not iTunes anymore. But it's all red. I guess you can probably change the color. Yeah. visually it's terrible, right? And Apple's supposed to be the place that's visually beautiful compared to a PC.
It is.
I am so, and the real other problem is, you would figure, oh, I've tried Big Sur for 2-3 weeks. I don't like it at all. I want to go back to my old operating system. You know, it was Safari. Oh no, Safari's the browser. What were some of the others? Catalina. There were ones before that, and Mountain Lion and Lynx.
Ostrich, yeah.
Ostrich was a good one.
I think Sloth and Ferret.
Sloth. Well, they're working on Sloth 3.0. Just in case you didn't know. Let me just undo it. You can pull programs off. You have just get it off of there. Get it off. Get this program off of me. Right?
It's never that easy.
And boy, oh boy, I mean, there's ways to do it. But even then, the websites that give you the information warn you is like, make sure you back up your entire system before you even try this. Make sure, and you have to do this. And it's like 18 steps. And there's simple steps, but there's 18.
You could have done 17, but that 18 threw you.
I am 17, going on 18, da-da-da-da. So, and so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to mess up all the stuff I have on my baby, my MacBook Air here, to try and just get rid of this program that is probably making some things run a little better and run a little cleaner, but is also ruining some things that I've been using with no problem for years. So I'd just love to know if other people are having that experience now with Big Sur, which is a big suck. And I'm just hoping Big Sur 5.0 is just around the corner, where they're like, okay, this will fix this and this will fix that. Because every time I get a text problem, I just, do you want to send this message to Apple? Yes! I'm hitting it with a sledgehammer. Yes, I want to send this to Apple. Can you send this directly to Steve Jobs? He was the Apple guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gone now.
Oh, he's out of a job.
The Apple team.
Yeah, send this to the core of Apple. Although we did.
Remember, we learned that the guy who did the Apple was a genius, right? And he did one of the first electronic computers, but he was gay at a time when it was not accepted in the U.S. And he killed himself by taking a bite of a poison apple.
It was Alan Turing, the coding guy from World War II, the guy who helped us beat the Germans in World War II.
Codebreaker.
And should be revered. When they're tearing down all these statues of Confederate soldiers, we should have, he's an Englishman, but we should have a statue of Alan Turing. Instead. Was he English? I think.
I think he was.
This guy instead, but because he was gay at a time that you not allowed to be gay and so forth, he was hounded, he was miserable, self-hating, ate apparently, like Snow White, ate a poison apple, killed himself, and there's this idea, they mentioned on this spy show that Joyce watches on Netflix, that when they were designing the Apple computer, I assume there was just a Beatles thing, or the beginning of the Garden of Eden or something, there's a bite taken out of the apple when you see it, and that might have been a sly reference to Alan Turing and the coding thing. Isn't that cool?
I'm going to try to do a watch party. Let's see.
I also found something, and Joyce sent this to me, because I've heard so many different stories about this. I felt so hip and knowledgeable and so let me tell you, a great party story to tell. And I tell it every...
They have host a Q&A.
Wow. Maybe after the show.
Live video.
Yeah. Joyce is looking at things to do.
I wonder what host a Q&A is.
Well,
it says I'm asking questions. Ask me about... No, I can't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wait, where was I? Now I've lost the thread. Oh, no. So the story had to do with the origin, and I've told it, I'm sure, on this show, the origin of break a leg. Break a leg, right? It's this, why on earth would you say, and you grew up just thinking, oh, well, I guess it had to do, you don't want to, it's the old Jewish European superstition. If you don't say something positive.
Or you don't say the name of the play, you say the Scottish play.
Right. It's super, you don't say the M play. Yeah. You say the Scottish play, Shakespeare's play, the one about the guy who murders the general. So in this case, why you say break a leg as opposed to good luck or have a wonderful show or things like that? Because bad luck to say something nice, and you don't want to say that something wonderful is going to happen because if you're Jewish, you're really going to change it to spitting through the fingers. But it's more than that. I had been or been told or discovered that break a leg was, and I guess I think it's actually better that it has so many apocryphal explanations.
I think I like the second one better.
Me too.
Because it's more like, it makes sense. That makes more sense to me, the way you taught me about theater.
Well, here's the one that I learned years ago. It may or may not be true, but that when in the Commedia dell'arte times, when you had all these people in costumes and stuff, and part of the things that they wore, it's been a long time since I've told this story, but like the actors would have these things around their legs and their knees. They were dressed to the hilt in these weird Commedia costumes. Yeah. And so what would happen was there would be these straight things almost made of like plaster or the equivalent of cardboard back then. And if they were asked to bow, they would bow from the front. They would bow down like this. But if they got really great applause, they would really have to bow. And I'm sorry?
Curtsy?
No, I said, yeah, they'd have to bend their knees. And in bending their knees, they would break this. No, they wouldn't break their knees. They would break through this.
That wasn't what it said.
Cast. No, that's a different.
Okay.
I'm telling you what the.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the idea of break a leg was, may your performance be so loved by the audience that you're not just going to bow like this. You're going to take a real deep bow. Your knee's going to go, bend, and it's going to just break the legging that you're wearing. This stiff, cardboardy costume thing that you're wearing over your leg, over your knee. And it kind of makes sense. What a cool story. And I would tell this to people, hey, you ever, show off a little bit. Like, do you know where break a leg actually came from? It's like,
it's esoteric knowledge.
Right? And one hopes it came from a better place, perhaps, than where the French started saying merde. I would really love to know where that came from.
You want me to look?
Actually, yes.
I don't know if I...
Where did merde, as, is there something to do like when a bird craps on you, that's good luck? I mean, I wonder, like the worst thing that could happen, may that turn into something good for you? I don't know. But just this week, Joyce found from someone on Facebook a whole different explanation of where break a leg came from. And
it says...
Yeah. Oh, here's this for merde.
Ew.
What?
It says... It's equivalent to break a leg in English. At that time, French people used to come to the theater in horse-drawn carriages. As it is obvious, horses would produce merde. So I guess more people, more shit.
That's so good, and I'll bet that's apocryphal too. But what a great thing!
Know.
May so many people come to the show that the streets are full of shit. It's as good an explanation as any. I gotta say, I love it.
It says people who go to theaters in carriages. I mean, I don't know.
And, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So. Chance.
Well, but that actually means good luck, or good bon chance.
They want me to take a French course. I gotta get out of this site.
Oh no! No. But the do you want to tell the new version of?
No, you're better.
All right. Let me see. The break a leg still had to do with bowing, or no, it had to do with
curtain.
Right. So if you're acting. And
you hope to act like you were not. Your act was not good enough to get called on stage.
Right.
And so, like, let's say somebody got sick or couldn't perform. If you could break a wing backstage to on stage with your leg, you would get paid. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Amen.
May you have the luck that you're not just in the background. You're not you're up front enough that the actor managers, the producers of that theater, you're performing, you're in front of the curtain, you've broken the plane of the curtain, that your leg went forward, you get paid.
Yes.
You get billing and so forth. Exactly. So that's as good an explanation for break a leg as any. I think they're both good. I hope there are 10 more.
I think it's up to the person, right? I mean,
yeah.
Maybe they're like, it's like the French and the German schools of thought. It's like a big ongoing debate of,
Yeah, or maybe it started much later, like Whose Life Is It Anyway? With that play.
Lena.
What?
You said whose life is it anyway? Whose line?
No. Whose life is it anyway? The whose line is it anyway was a pun on whose life is it anyway. It was a play about a quadriplegic person who wants to commit suicide, right?
Oh God.
So,
David,
what?
you really have such a cheer-filled.
But the point is, you would figure if all these actors are going up for the role as a quadriplegic, maybe break a leg is actually, someone said, you know what, I'm going to take a hammer and I want you to get this part.
I really like this idea that you break onto the stage.
Yeah,
like
yeah. That's how an actor may. And that also ties in with like an actor getting his break.
Yeah, your big break. What's your
big break?
What do I know?
I love this. I hope you're enjoying it too.
You're a theater person, David. You know.
Well, I obviously I don't know. I learn new things every time. Yeah? But anywho, speaking of learning new things and old, you should be advised that you're watching Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and wonderful wife, Joyce. It's about 20 to 10 Eastern Time in the Daverhood. I do want to mention a couple of quick things. First of all, a shout-out to... Actually, can we do... Maybe... Let's start doing that, too. I'm going to say a shout-out. Yeah. Or you can scream or something. I've never heard you... Once or twice, I think I've heard you scream.
I only scream if I'm scared and when I had those nightmares, so I don't want to talk about it.
We want to go to that. No. Oddly enough, she's as we were standing up getting married, she screamed like crazy in the nightmare.
I love you, baby.
Oh, I know.
I would scream of happiness.
Oh.
I love you.
Oh, gosh. Anywho, you know what I love besides you? Hewlett Minuteman. There's a segue for you. Hewlett Minuteman Press, the Copy King.
What? You should say that if you have a lovely event like a wedding or birthday, you could.
Right. If you have a bar mitzvah, if someone's breaking your legs to get onto the stage, you want to alert everybody by using Hewlett Minuteman Press, the Copy Kings of Broadway. Since the mid-1970s, the Toron family has owned and operated Minuteman right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. Because, of course, Minuteman is a franchise all over the place. But you want to use the one in Hewlett because they're a great family to work with. They do quality work. They've been there for like 4 decades now. Family owned, by the way. And let's see, Frank for Frank London. Let's see what they can do for you. Just with a letter L.
David, do you think you could ask your guests what they think about the
break a leg?
Yeah.
I could. I'm sure Frank London has heard it. And you know what? Probably David Sheward and Leslie Hoban Blake have come across it too.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have labels and laminations and lapel pins, laser-compatible stocks and inks. Oh, I do love me some laser-compatible stocks. Laser-proof thermography, law enforcement printing, layouts, letterheads, lettering, both hand and computer, logos, and lunch bags. And again, that is just the letter L for all the things that Hewlett Minuteman Press can do for your company, for your business. They do business cards. They do wedding invitations and holiday cards. They also do balloons and banners and flyers and, of course, copying, color, black and white, laminated paper, special paper, big paper. If you need it, Hewlett Minuteman Press can help you do it. Give them a call, 516-569-5577, 516-569-5577. Oh, and if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. 516-569-5577, Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the Copy Kings. Oh my gosh. So we have our guest coming in just about 15 minutes. Let's get to, I don't know if I want to do, let's do Inside Broadway real quick. We'll save Greeley Crimes and Old Times for later on in the show. We also have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned coming up, where we go to Crook, Colorado. Is that neat? Crook, Colorado. Man, I thought I could come up with a quick joke on that. I can't. Oh, man, that's absolutely criminal.
David,
Hold it.
Oh, Mr. David Body.
Thank you very much. Anywho, let's do Inside Broadway. And then maybe bring Rabbi Saul in to do, first of all, to show his his submission, as it were, to Miscast 2021, which should be kind of interesting and fun. And then we'll have our guest on, Frank London. We'll do our Today Yesterday quiz, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Oh, what a show we have for you. But first, now let me open up my Apple Music, which I can't even figure out what it looks like anymore. And let us get to a little bit of Inside Broad. Come on, Inside. Can I find it? Here it is, Inside Broadway. Please. Hold it. I hate you, Big Sur. I just hate friggin' Big Sur. Here it is. Oh, the old one. Inside Broadway, a look at theater in New York, Colorado, and beyond. Brought to you by TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Yes, Inside Broadway we go.
David, you just killed the
yeah.
popcorn popper.
So, here we go. We're going to talk a little bit, just for a few minutes, about Broadway, because I've been a theater critic for about 30-something years, and have been, or 30-plus years at this point, plus a playwright. If you want to read some of my plays, they're at my other website. It's davelefkowitz.org, davelefkowitz.org. Give it a look. I've got literally hundreds of theater reviews up there from the last 30 years, plus one-act plays, full-length plays, interviews I've done, written interviews, not the audio stuff. It's this repository of 3 to 4 decades of song lyrics and stuff. DaveLefkowitz.org. Please give it a look. But I want to let you know that I love theater. I've been a theater journalist for a whole bunch of years. So this is my little moment to talk with you about what's happening in theater. Well, yes, Broadway is still technically closed until May 30th. It doesn't sound that far away anymore.
It's not that far. It's about a month.
Yeah, and the thing was, back in the day, they kept postponing. Oh, Broadway will be open in this of 2020, and Broadway will be open by the new year. And now it's like, no, May 30th looks like the hard opening or reopening date. Not that shows will start June 1st, but it is very possible we might see special distanced performances. Maybe Hamilton will happen on July 4th. And certainly by September, October, we will have shows again, maybe a bit more distance. They're going to figure out maybe they can't get 1,700 people together in the Winter Garden, but maybe they can get 1,200 to 1,400 where it becomes economically feasible. They're figuring it out. They're finding it out. But I want to do a couple of things to let you know. First of all, some sad news in the Daverhood that Joe Saravo passed away, the Broadway and off-Broadway actor. He was only 66 years old, and he died of colon cancer. He was an NYU Tisch graduate. Go Tisch. Also, he went to Stanford University. He made his film debut in Carlito's Way, and then got a featured role as Tony Soprano's father on The Sopranos. So he got cast in a lot of Italianette roles. But on Broadway, he was in the Herb Gardner play Conversations with My Father. He came into that show after it was already running. He was in a revival of The Boys from Syracuse. He played a priest in the Broadway musical The Light in the Piazza. And his last show on Broadway was an excellent one. It was called Oslo. It was done at Lincoln Center just in 2017.
Wow.
And he did a ton of off-Broadway, all the way back to the 1990 play Lusting After Peppino's Wife.
What?
By a playwright named Sam Henry Cass. And it's just so weird how all these things are dovetailing, because I'm going back, looking over my old reviews, posting them on the website, and I just came across my review of Lusting After Peppino's Wife from 1990. And I wrote this about Joe Saravo. He is a howl as the lizard of his own lounge. I like that. I love that line. A howl as the lizard of his own lounge, because it's a very David Mamet kind of play. Anyway, he also toured with, and this probably gave him his full latter-day career. He did more than 2,000 touring performances of Jersey Boys. So a big farewell to Joe Saravo, who passed away. Also want to let you know, in kind of happier news, that they've announced a virtual, an online production, because we're still doing that, of Waiting for Godot, featuring John Leguizamo, Ethan Hawke, and Wallace Shawn. What an interesting... I see Wallace Shawn as maybe Vladimir or Estragon, but I think they've got him as Pozzo, which is really kind of weird. Anyway, Scott Elliott will be directing this for the new group, and it's going to be running from May 6th. I think they're going to do it or stream it live on May 6th, or it's already pre-recorded, but they'll start it on May 6th, and you can watch it for, I guess, a week or two afterwards. But it's going to be Waiting for Godot online, the Samuel Beckett play, with John Leguizamo, Ethan Hawke, and Wallace Shawn. Hey, I want to remind you, before we get any further, if you want to learn more about virtual shows that you can watch on your computer or your TV while we're waiting for theater to come back, or if you're just waiting for in-person theater to come back, the journal that you want to get is Performing Arts Insider, which has been the Bible of Broadway since 1944. This is what people in the entertainment industry turn to for information about every single show on, off, and off Broadway. Look at what's on every page of this important journal. You have all the shows that were just about to open or were already playing on Broadway when the pandemic hit, shows that weren't to open but are planning to open in 22 and 23. You have a map of the Broadway district. We go one page more, and we see every theater on Broadway listed, how many seats it's got, what's playing in there and when, and who owns it. Is it a Drew Jamson? Is it a Nederlander? Now, maybe your average person doesn't necessarily care about that. But if you're in the entertainment industry, if you're a booking coordinator for a talk show, if you're a theater in the regionals and you want to know about what shows are playing and when they're coming in, maybe you want to contact the press agents.
But it's even more important now that, like you said, as things open up, you want to plan now.
Yes.
So you got to start planning now before things really open up.
And this is one of the important guides that people in the industry use to plan their agendas, to plan what shows.
It's so important that people brought it back when you wanted to stop it.
That was also what Joyce is referring to, is that, I have a full-time job. I do this show. I try and write plays. I mean, I do a lot. I'm coaching people in acting and stuff. So,
And your Irish clog dancing.
And my Irish clog dancing, and my so when I dress up once a week.
And even, will this be in the Drama Desk bookstore, even though the dark one is sponsoring it?
I'm hoping to get back in the drama bookshop when that reopens, for sure. So people can buy Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. So here's, and there's an index, of course, in the back of every show that's listed. Look at all this detailed.
Do you have stuff that's opening up in person in there yet?
Yes, of course. Okay. So if you're going to get like the April issue or the May. The May issue will be coming up soon. Then you will see not just shows, week after week, month after month, these shows are kind of planned to reopen at some point. No, there's some stuff happening off-Broadway already. You'll find information about it in the pages of Performing Arts Insider. Go to performingartsinsider.com to find out how you can subscribe. It's a hard copy publication, by the way, which you can either get in the mail, the old-fashioned way, or we can email you a PDF copy. It's not online, though. It's still an old-fashioned magazine. PerformingArtsInsider.com is the place to find out more about it. Well, I want to let you know one more piece of Broadway news and information. So, I think we talked last week about the whole brouhaha, and, well, since we're a comedy show, it's a brouhaha about Scott Rudin.
Oh,
the who has become the face of evil. He's our new...
There's a lot of controversy,
Our new Harvey Weinstein, our new, Jeffrey Epstein, except it's not even a sexual thing. It's just the man apparently has the worst temper of... I can't even... literally like a villain in cartoons. We've been watching Nicholas Nickleby. He is the Squeers of Broadway, right? Tremendously successful producer. He had To Kill a Mockingbird going just before the pandemic. I mean, great taste in theater, has done a lot, has had his hands in a lot of Broadway shows, right? Gets stuff done, which is a very difficult thing to do, right? And has had success in Broadway, which is an even more difficult thing to do. But apparently for 30 or 40 years, he has been an abusive and terrible
Why did they get out, David? That's what I don't understand.
Well, it's sort of like open secret stuff. Like, hey, don't send your daughter to audition for Bill Cosby. Whisper, whisper, for 3 decades, right? Harvey Weinstein, if he wants to talk with you about your part, don't go see him in his hotel room. Yeah, this wasn't public, but if you were in the know, if you had the knowledge, you had the knowledge. So now suddenly, it's after all these years, and people taking umpteen horrors from this man, and again, he's never been put on trial. There's no proof except now zillions of people are coming out of the word with their names and saying, I used to work for this guy, and he treated me badly, but I saw him treat other people unbelievably worse. He apparently smashed like a telephone down on someone's hand and sent them to the hospital and paid out. And I saw someone did. I mean, he's just a terrible guy. So one extra piece of information or news that happened this week is that Karen Olivo, a talented musical theater actress, and got a lot of raves, and I think she was Tony nominated for, or I believe she was Tony nominated for Moulin Rouge. Big hit show, or at least it was before the pandemic closed everything temporarily. She's in Moulin Rouge, got really good reviews, and she is, if there's a star in Moulin Rouge, there's Danny Burston, our friend of the Daverhood, and her, Karen Olivo. So she's in it. And then she reported this week that she's not coming back. She's quitting the show in protest of the way Broadway business is conducted with these kinds of abuses. And by the way, the weird part is that Scott Rudin has nothing to do with Moulin Rouge. That's the strange part. I mean, he is not a producer of Moulin Rouge. He's a producer of other shows. So she's quitting this show that has nothing to do with him, essentially by saying, she's not talking about other abuses she really did suffer with other people in the industry over the past few years, I guess. Or these producers know about Rudin, have worked with him. How dare they keep silent all this time, all these years? This is like her getting on the front page, not to get publicity, she doesn't need it, not to boost her chances of getting a Tony, but just of saying, I've made a really good living now, thanks to Moulin Rouge and some other things. I'm in a financial situation where I can quit a show where dozens of assistants and people and actors and stuff and other producers aren't in a position to tackle a man like this. Now I'm making my stand to say he's been tolerated in this industry by some of the people that I am working with. Shame on them for not coming forward. So that's kind of, bloggers have been going back and forth. They're like, she's always been a little unstable, which is the thing you always say about women and actresses. Like, she quit a show before for other reasons, and she has her own issues. And other people saying, good for her. Good for her for taking a stand when other people can't. And even though, again, this is not really her stand to take on this particular show, if this brings to light, the cockroach scampering under the rock, so be it. So I'd love to know your thoughts about this too. Email me, davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com, or you can post them right here on the Facebook page. What do you think? Will he be blackballed? Will he be forced to apologize? Will he change at all, or just slightly, of the way the industry has been working? He is supposed to be bringing one of the things that they're hoping will bring audiences back en masse to Broadway, when he brings the Music Man in with Hugh Jackman in a year or two, right? And so Hugh Jackman, the Music Man, that's going to bring people back to the theater after the pandemic. And, he's the lead producer on that. And people are saying he should step down. He should step away. He's got millions and millions and millions of dollars. Let him go. Let him live in the Hamptons with his husband, who I actually know his husband. He was a press agent for several years. Go. Let somebody else. Another producer will gladly pick up the Music Man, right? With Hugh Jackman in it. And why isn't Hugh Jackman taking a stand? Well, probably because Hugh Jackman has never watched. I keep wanting to say Harvey Weinstein has not seen Scott Rudin behave like Scott Rudin. He wouldn't to Hugh Jackman. Anyway, I'm a small Dave. He's a Hugh Jackman. Huh? Oh, now she has the machines. Thank you. By the way, speaking of horrible jokes in a Jewish sort of a way, we have Rabbi Saul Solomon coming into the Daverhood to talk to our special guest on the show, Frank London. He is a musician specializing, of course, in klezmer music. We're very excited about that. So he's in the waiting room. He's waiting to get on so patiently. Let's hear a little bit of Frank London, and then Rabbi Saul will be in to talk with him. Die. Oh, shalom, my friends, shalom, my enemies. That music that you are hearing, both on trumpet and on shofar, and as I like to say, shofar so good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is being played by our multi-instrumentalist, multi-talented guest in the Daverhood here on this Shabbos morning, April 17th, 2021. I am Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And with me in the Daverhood, we are not just in New York, we are not just in Colorado, we are going all the way to London today to see Frank London. He is, oh, there he is. Shalom again. We lost you. We were exiled, as so many Jews have been. Now you're back. How are you? Welcome to the Daverhood, Frank London.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Frank. How are you? You're looking great. How's the pandemic been for you?
Very interesting. Very interesting. Challenging. But, good to be with my family. Good to be cooking great food, making some new music, seeing friends, just, being slow. Something I haven't done for 40 years.
So, yeah, obviously you wouldn't have been touring very much the past year or so.
No, that would be not very much at all. Yes, that's true.
So, Mazel, by the way, you mention family. You have a wife, you have kids, yes?
Yes, a few of each.
A few. How many wives do you have, and can I borrow a couple? No, I'm kidding. I kid.
Or as I like to say, I used to have kids. Now there's a bunch of young adults running around the place.
Well, now where are you? Are you in New York, or where are you?
I'm in New York on the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
Have you lived there the whole, since you've been famous and so forth?
Well, I don't know when that happened, but for the last 30 years or so.
So how's it been living in New York the past year? Because maybe you're not touring, but you're going out. Is the village like normal? Is it the store?
No, there's nothing normal about this at all. There's nothing normal about this at all. You go out and there's almost no one on the streets. And when there are a lot of people on the streets, they tend to be NYU students who aren't paying attention to things, and everyone gets very upset. But but we're doing okay. Tompkins Square Park is good. I learned how to play racquetball. That's been a new thing. We go out to the courts in the parks in the neighborhood and play racquetball. That's a great new entertainment.
Good. Now, are you ever worried when you play a sport, because you're a multi-instrument, you're known for trumpet, but you can play a bunch of other things. You ever worried, oi, if I hit the thing and the ball will hit my finger, I'll be in a splint for a week, or no, you don't think about it?
I mean, that would be a very sensible thing. I agree with you. No.
All right. So, by the way, before we mention anything else, one of the reasons that we're having Frank London on the program today is not just because he's Jewish and he makes Jewy kind of music, but he's got a new album out, and oh boy, it's called Ghetto Songs, because what could be more fun than that? It actually is not so much only about the Warsaw Ghetto, but it has to do with a ghetto in Italy, if you want to explain a little more.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, set the stopwatch. Let's see if we can do this in 90 seconds.
All right, let's do this. Here we go. I got it ready. Go!
Very quickly, the first ghetto to be called a ghetto, the word ghetto comes from the Jewish ghetto in Venice, which was established just 505 years ago in 1516. And as part of the work to sort of commemorate 500 years of ghettos, I created this project with my friends in Venice, and it's called Ghetto Songs, and we look at music from all sorts of ghettos from around the world, Jewish and non-Jewish, from now, from then, and we look at the music and we play it, and we sort of try to find connections and think about the whole thing. That's it.
You did that in like 70 seconds even. That was bravo. So do you do like the Sammy Davis?
I got my coffee going.
Oh,
that's it.
I forgot. My darling, adorable wife, Miriam Libby. May I please have my beverage vessel? I have a very special beverage vessel too. Not as pretty as yours, but check this out. Look at this, huh?
Beautiful. Best rabbi ever.
Basically, I am. So, do you do the Sammy Davis Jr. song in the ghetto?
Okay, hold on. You know who? Do you know who had the first hit with it before Sammy Davis Jr.?
I don't recall. Who?
That was Elvis.
Not Nick Cave.
That was Elvis had the hit.
Of course, yes.
And it was written by now my head is not working. Mac Davis wrote In the Ghetto.
Mac Davis
wrote In the Ghetto. That was the big debate, was whether or not to do that song. And at the end, it didn't make the cut. But trust me, we thought about it long and hard. But we do The World is a Ghetto from War and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm a Francisco kid. But I like The World is a Ghetto. That's a good one. Do you do We Ghetto in Venice and then in Cremona and then... No, that's a little...
What is that?
I don't know. It's a Kiss Me Kate thing. It's got nothing to do with... It's Venice, not Ghetto.
I don't really know a lot of those classic musicals. I apologize.
Oh, for shame! For shame. Good. Oh my God! So, how much Yiddish upbringing and Jewish upbringing did you have?
Okay, those are two separate questions. A lot of Jewish and absolutely zip on Yiddish. I'm a pure Long Island, born and bred Reform Jew. A good American suburban Reform Jew was how I was brought up. Very Jewish, no Yiddishkeit, no.
Well, Reformed is not necessarily, I mean, Reformed.
No, it's just that I'm also on most of my, depending on which branch of my family, on one branch, I'm a fourth generation American, so I'm sure my grandparents spoke Yiddish, my parents did not.
Of course. But let me ask you about this, because I wear this, the yarmulke, for baldness. What's with the hat? Is that your signature? It's your trademark?
It is. It is. It's a little bit of a signifier. It's not bald yet, thank God. But
no. How old are you that you still have so much hair?
The hair is a product of the pandemic. I haven't had a haircut in a while.
No, but I loved it. That's beautiful head of hair you have. Look at this. I got nothing. I got these things. I got, and these are made from my pubes. So that should tell you something. I don't. What? You're looking at me horribly there. I don't blame you, quite honestly. So let me ask you a couple of things about your life and your career.
You can
So,
get one also. You can get one with reggae dreads with Rastafarian dreadlocks if you want also.
oh, I do. I style it with hemp oil. It's really
Yeah.
lovely, and people want to stand near me and inhale. It's fantastic. So, but let me ask you: were you what? 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old? Did the prodigy word come around, or was it just when did you realize music was like oh?
Um, you know, I don't think you, and I'm not a prodigy. I just love music. I just love it, and that's all. Nothing to say. Um, I don't know. I think it's when I tried to go to college to study something else, and I realized that there was nothing else I wanted to do. That was kind of about it. I was like, oh, I guess it's got to be music.
So, but here's the deal. Also, you come out of college, and it's not like a Juilliard. I'm going to be classical pianist, it's Scott Perlman kind of thing. So, even though you actually worked with it's Scott Perlman eventually, but you come out, and so how do you think you're going to make a living? Just piano bars? You think you're going to get into orchestras or bands, or what made you think you could make a living rather than just be like a weekend garage band person?
Because I work really hard.
Okay.
Because I said yes to everything that came my way.
This is why you have various diseases at this point. But I kid. But so, and why trumpet?
Not sure. When I was growing up, when you turned 9 in fourth grade in public school, they said, "What instrument do you want to play?" And the only thing I can think is that my older cousin, whose name was also Frank, so he was Big Frankie, I was Little Frankie. He played the trumpet, and maybe I was just trying to take after him, but I really don't know.
Huh. And you stay with you did band in high school and so forth, and then
All that stuff. Yeah.
when did you gravitate? I guess you at some point were playing weddings, and
I've been playing weddings since I was in high school.
wow, and
Um,
mitzvahs. I hope.
and bar mitzvahs, but also like church services and funerals, and like I say, I just do anything.
What the hell do you play at a funeral?
Well, actually, one of the few actual live gigs I've done in the pandemic was at a funeral. And what did I play? It was a military gentleman, an older, so I played taps, of course, and then I played a Frank Sinatra song that was he and his wife's favorite song that they danced to at their wedding. So what the answer to all those questions is whatever the client asks you to play.
Of course. Was it in New Orleans or was it just a local wedding? Well, you wouldn't have
No, New York, not New York.
Yeah, because you figure those weddings.
I do those events also. New Orleans music, all that stuff. Yep, all that.
You do. And how much? I mean, you are on so many record albums. You've worked with so many people. Like, how many days of the year do you work as a musician? On a given, like before the pandemic,
I was going to say this year or every other year for the
every
last
other, yeah. In the normal year, I bet you work like 250 to 300 days a year.
Well, I mean, I would say I work every day because even if I don't have a concert, I'm either writing music or practicing the trumpet. So it's thank God I like doing it. Otherwise, it would drive me crazy.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, when you were a kid, were lessons a big pain in the tuchus and you did them anyway, or did you look forward to them? Or depending?
Well, that's funny. I did look forward to them, except I had a horrible, horrible teachers. I didn't have a good trumpet teacher until I was in my early 20s. And then I finally found the teacher who saved my life and taught me how to play the trumpet.
Right. I want you to go deeper in that. What made the first teacher so terrible?
Let's just say politely, we were very different personalities, and he couldn't get over that. It was sort of like, someone with a military background, and I probably still am, but definitely back growing up, I was a total hippie. So I would, hair down to my middle of my back and walking barefoot and playing rock and roll music, and I didn't really care. So it was an attitude difference. And
Did that matter though once you picked up the instrument?
Well, for some people, I'll tell you a funny story, and it's got a sort of a Jewish connection.
Oh, good.
There was another teacher in our school district named Bernie Shaw. I loved Bernie Shaw. Everyone loved Bernie Shaw. Bernie Shaw played violin and trumpet, and he taught the orchestras. And because he did the orchestras, he was in every school in the district. He bounced around. So I knew Bernie from the time I was 9 until I graduated high school at 18. I go to Boston, I go to conservatory, I do things, I move back to New York, and among many things, I start playing Jewish and Hasidic weddings. So I go onto the bandstand, young, relatively young, in my mid-20s, inexperienced in that field, and there's a chair, and who's sitting next to me but Mr. Shaw.
Yeah.
Mr. Shaw. So I'm like, Mr. Shaw. He goes, listen, we're on the bandstand now. It's Bernie. And he was just the sweetest guy. I wish I had studied privately with him. I didn't, but he was the sweetest. He was just he was a mensch. He was a real mensch. And it's funny, as a kid, you kind of sense that, but you don't trust yourself because they're all adults.
Right.
And at that point, so we're talking, and I mentioned the other teacher who was the band teacher who I didn't get along with. And Bernie, Mr. Shaw, Bernie says to me, all the other teachers couldn't get along with him either. He was just an uptight prick. So I felt so vindicated that it wasn't just me. It was like, this guy was just like uptight and,
It's amazing what, people do to children without even knowing it,
Yeah.
They think they're being strict, and they think they're being, and really, it's sort of, I think it was Confucius who said, you model behavior. You don't really teach the subject. It's the behavior of the Menschlichkeit of a person. And by the way, Confucius did use that word, Menschlichkeit. I don't know if you knew that. It was interesting to hear him say it. Yes.
And it's funny, the teacher who did finally teach me, Bob McCoy, who I credit with everything about everything, his method of teaching, he probably weighed 350 pounds. He was a big guy. His musical career was totally different than mine, but he was one of those guys where that didn't make a difference. He was there to teach me. He wasn't trying to impose his views on music or the world or discipline. He was just trying to teach me trumpet. And his way of doing it, he taught me how to teach myself. And that's a gift that I'll never be able to repay. And when I teach, I try to do that. You don't just tell people what to do, but you help them figure out how to teach themselves.
Whoa. Well, so, and you teach trumpet, I assume, or
I teach whatever people ask me to do: trumpet, music, theory, composition, history, ensembles, all sorts of things.
Can you write music? Are you able to do that?
I composed an opera, a Yiddish Cuban opera, which was produced 2 years ago. I composed a symphonic oratorio, which was premiered at Queens College for orchestra and singers and things. Yes.
The answer is no. I'm impressed. I didn't realize that you wrote a lot of music as well as playing, of course, a lot of music.
Well, that piece you were playing at the beginning of the show, I composed that, and I wrote the orchestra parts for that.
How do you have any tips and techniques? Because part of that you played on a trumpet, but part of that you were actually playing on a shofar, the Jewish New Year ram's horn. Is there any fingering technique for a ram's horn? Is there any tips?
There's no fingering because there's no holes in it. So there's
one hole at the end of it. Otherwise, it won't make any noise. But yes, so
I had another teacher, the great. I'll get his name in a moment. As he used to say, is just tongue and blow. Just put air through the horn. The only secret is air. Air. Just blow the air through the horn. That's it.
Yeah. Tongue and blow, which is, by the way, the advice I give to newlyweds. But ladies and gentlemen, we're talking with Frank. What? No laughs there. Okay, Frank London. By the way, get his album. It's available wherever albums are sold. It's ghetto songs based on the 500th anniversary of the Venice Ghetto and the anniversary of the storming of the Warsaw Ghetto, too. So the Warsaw thing is in there as well. And by the way, his website is franklondon.com to find out about all that he's done and to get some of his music, franklondon.com. But so many more questions for you. May I call you Frank? Or what's your Hebrew name?
Absolutely.
Well,
Can I call you Rabbi?
Your Eminence, I prefer. I like Your Eminence. If you don't
Well,
mind.
actually, you can call me Sir then, because I
Yes!
was. Yes, you can.
That's
I
what
was.
I do not understand. I don't understand how. I understand why you would have been knighted, but it was for stuff you did in Hungary. What the hell?
Well, you got to be knight. I don't think the U.S. knights people. We don't knight people here.
Well, we were knighted in England, I assume.
No, that's just one place that knights people. There's a lot of, any place that's got that kind of history has the Order of Merit. And so, yeah, I was knighted.
In Hungary. Is that?
Well, actually, the ceremony was in Washington, D.C., in the office of the ambassador. Because the way it works is in countries that have still have royalty, like England, as we know from everything that's going on in the press these days, then when you get knighted, it's by the Queen or some royalty person. But in countries that don't have a king or queen anymore, then it's just a government thing.
Oh, all right, but they still do it. You're still.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: if there's no royalty, you don't go down on your knees, and they don't take out the sword and
lop off the shoulder.
Thing.
Yeah, they what?
But they definitely but you just they give you a, what do they call it? A badge.
Right. Okay. So can you go into
certificate and a badge and everything like that?
Can you go into any restaurant in Hungary and say feed me?
Yeah, I can, as long as I have enough money to pay the bill.
Okay. Well, I mean, but it must have been a nice thing to suddenly get a knighthood, a sirness.
Well, I got to tell you, it's really more than anything else. It's just I think it's funnier than hell. It's like, who do we know gets knighted? It's like, and then I got to say, it was a problem. It became a problem, and I actually returned the knighthood I with a letter of protest.
Wait, what? Who returned? What happened?
Well, as you know, or maybe not, the government of Hungary has been on this very rightward, fascist, anti-Semitic, anti-Gypsy, anti-everything trend for the last 10 years or so, more, but it's gotten worse and worse. And just a few years after I got this particular knighthood, it's called the Order of Merit Knight's Cross, they gave the same exact award to a journalist who was writing the most horrible anti-Semitic, anti-Gypsy, anti-immigrant, horrible stuff, because the government was going that way. And in fact, when I did get knighted, I did it at the recommendation of the Minister of Culture, who was a friend of mine. And he said, well, it was a problem because I didn't want to be seen to be supporting the government. And he was walking a very fine line of supporting diversity, not playing into all this horrible negativity, but he ultimately lost his job. And at the time, I said, should I take this or not? He said, do it, because we're trying to make a statement. And when they knighted me, it was for supporting multicultural, Jewish and multicultural culture in Hungary. But now it went so far to the right that I sent a letter to the president, who's this expletive deleted word.
By the way, you don't have to delete with me. You can use any word.
And I said,
book is old. Go ahead.
I said, take it, take it back. I
guess you made yourself a Budapest to the government.
Yes,
that's comedy right there. That's humor.
There you go. There you go.
Well, so you're really not a sir anymore. You're just
I'm ex-sir.
Sir. That's excellent.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anywho, we're talking with Frank London.
What's in your bed? What's in that beverage mug of yours?
Oh, it's basically 3 parts Manischewitz to 1 part gefilte fish juice. It's so good. I gotta tell you. Well, what's in your mug there? In that pretty brown mug that you're
I really play to the stereotypes of being from my neighborhood, which is called Lower East Side. It's an old, really, besides being an old Jewish neighborhood, it's mostly a Puerto Rican, Dominican neighborhood. So I drink espresso coffee, El Dorado.
I can't.
El
I can't.
Dorado.
Too dark for me. It scrapes my teeth when I drink espresso. All right, well, you like that old world cultural thing. Let me ask you some other questions about this. Were you worried when you really got full? No, not worried, but when you went full on into klezmer and Jewish music, was there a sense? Did people say, "Oh, don't get too schmaltzy, it's old school"? How do you unschmaltzify music?
Okay, that's a really good point. There's a number of answers. It starts with the fact that I didn't grow up with it, so I didn't have this assumption in my head. Then it continues by when you listen to the old recordings, and I mean from 1900 to about 1930, they're not schmaltzy at all. Most of them are they're wonderful. They're not schmaltzy. They're profound and deep and gorgeous. And then the third thing, and this was with the klezmatics, when we started playing, I first was in a group called the Klezmer Conservatory Band, which is still around. Oh. And they would do everything. They would do profound stuff and schmaltzy stuff and all this thing. But when we founded the klezmatics, we didn't know what we were going to do. And now it's 35 years later. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we just made sort of a position statement that we weren't going to do anything nostalgic. Nostalgia we weren't going to do kitsch. We weren't going to do shtick.
No Mickey Cats, basically.
No Mickey Cats.
Oh, yeah.
I love Mickey Cats, but that wasn't what we were going to do. We were going to play klezmer music, Yiddish song, as a really just deep, meaningful thing. And I think that's why the klezmatics became so successful in the klezmer revival, because we were one of the first who just rejected all that nostalgia. We didn't go out and play Mickey Cats. We didn't play Shane Vidi Lavona. We didn't do everything for everyone. We just did it in the way that made sense for us.
And now you've taken that, and now as you do the Jewish Cuban music, you do sort of klezmer funk. I mean, is the wheels come off? Is it just like at a certain point, is it no longer even klezmery if you're still doing it, but jazz with a little bit of Jewish flavor? Oh, do we lose?
It depends. Depends on which project I'm doing. Huh? Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yeah.
So it really depends. It really depends on which project. Sometimes I do very straight klezmer. Sometimes I do mixtures with other things, and sometimes it has nothing to do with it. On Ghetto Songs, there's really only one sort of klezmer song on the entire record, and then there's a lot of other kinds of things. It's all music. It's all music.
Now, speaking of music, I also want to get into some of the wonderful people that you have worked with and played with. Like I once went out with a girl who was a straight klezmer musician. Now she's a lesbian. But you know, okay, you don't care. But here's
no. There's you say it kind of sort of as a joke, but
I Love Klezbos is an actual band.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Eve Secular and those people. So yeah, we like that. We like that.
Someone named Secular is playing klezmer music. She should be playing secular music, but that's anywho. But you worked.
That's good. That's a good one.
Thank you so much. See, that has wit. The other was just dirty. This one had wit. Let me ask. You worked with Mel Torme.
I did.
Doing what and how was it? Yeah.
Playing trumpet in a big band. Playing like third or fourth trumpet in a big band at Michael's Pub. And how was it? Great.
Okay, I'd love to hear stories about like famous people that people have worked, any positive or negative.
So I don't have any great Mel Torme stories because he was not the kind of guy who really schmoozed with the band. You know, he came in, he did the job. He was polite, he was professional, but he was, you know, already in his own thing. So it's not like working, say, for example, with Itzhak Perlman.
All right,
or,
stop there.
Or
tell me an Itzhak story.
You know, Itzhak is the biggest joker. He you know, you should have him on, but he'll run circles around you, Dave. Not Dave, sorry.
Dave's my friend. I'm Rabbi.
Yeah. You know, he's just, and so every time we have a concert, I almost have to study up and find some new jokes to tell him. So Itzhak is just hysterically funny. And the other thing about Itzhak is he really, as great as he is, he keeps on learning. He keeps on growing. He's so dedicated, and yet with this insane sense of humor all the time.
Oh, this is so. Look, if you can hook me up with him, I'd love to have him on the program because I hear. Is this? I've heard one.
Good luck.
Oh yeah, but thanks. Yeah, like I could never be talking to Itzhak Perlman. Let me tell you.
No, it's like I can't even call him. I have to go through the through the agent and through the agent's agent. You know, I mean, look. Yeah. All I've worked with a lot of really, really, really famous people, and most of them, and this is just how it is, sort of build a barrier around themselves because they're getting, people are, you know, want them all the time. They want to touch them and take their time and energy, and it's really important they build a real barrier, and I respect that. And you really have to suss out when you're working with someone. Do they want to be friendly? Like, it's like, yes, at the right moment.
Right. Yeah.
You know, or with Mel, you just go in and do the job, you know. So.
I go shopping at the Piggly Wiggly. People want to touch the hem of my garment. I'm like, no, I'm holding watermelons here. Leave me alone. You know, this is got to be careful about that. But I was going to ask you one little question about Itzhak Perlman since he's so funny. I've heard a rumor. Let me know if it's true or not, or if you know. Is he Jewish? Just curious. I was hoping for a bigger laugh from that one. But no,
I think he's a UU actually.
Now, here's a question for you. Someone who has been on this program and was a delightful guest on Dave's Gone By many years ago, and I just find her absolutely fascinating in the music that she makes and her work process. You did some work with Jane Siberry.
Oh, you know Jane. Jane is genius.
I think
so original.
Yeah.
So unique, so original. God, so yeah, she's fantastic. And you know, here's the other thing about probably everyone we've mentioned, and probably if we kept on talking, all these kind of really famous people, one thing I think they have in common is they kind of really know what they want. There's a reason why they're so successful, because they really do what they do and know what they want. And it's really, you have to really listen to them and find out, because each person doesn't want the same thing. One of them wants you to play exactly the same part over and over again. Another one of them wants you to expand on it every time you play it, you know.
Speaking of which, have you ever played with like a major rock star, like a Dylan or one of the Stones or
the closest I've come in the rock world, I was a member for many years of a band called They Might Be Giants.
When you were in They Might Be Giants, yeah. I thought you just worked with. Oh, I had no idea. Okay.
I worked with David Byrne from Talking Heads for a while.
And Rob Wilson, the director.
Yeah. So I worked with them on the Knee Plays, part of the Civil Wars. I had the pleasure of working with Levon Helm from the band.
Oh wow!
You know, so yeah.
All right, but let's go back, because I did
rock people.
The process of putting together the.
I played with my wife. We both played with Iggy Pop.
I play with my wife sometimes too, but not on the air. Wait! Tell us an Iggy Pop story.
Oh, Iggy
is
great. Iggy.
How can you be named Iggy and not be Jewish? I don't know, but Iggy Pop. Tell us an Osterberg story.
He is Jewish, actually.
Oh, really? Is he? Oh.
Not Izzy, Iggy.
Yeah.
Not Izzy, Iggy.
Iggy, I know Iggy Osterberg. I forget James Osterberg, but what's Tell me a pop story. This is a pop quiz.
Iggy, you know, I hope, he seems to have gotten a little more cautious, thank God, because he was going to just kill himself. He was like stage diving off stages into his 40s and 50s. I mean, he really hurt himself badly once because people didn't catch him and he landed on cement. I mean,
cement, yeah.
he gives 150% every time he performs. He's just so on it.
Well, what did you back him on? What project did you work with?
There was it's a very long story, but I'll try to sum it up. My wife is German, and for one of her birthdays, she grew up with old German folk music, and as opposed to American folk music, when we say old German folk music, we're talking about
kill the Jews, kill them dead. I know those songs. Yeah.
Well, actually, those comes. I've worked on that stuff. Not these. These are more. They're more romantic, but they're very intense. They're fairy tale songs from the 16th, 17th, 18th century.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we made a record of them. And I arranged the songs, she sang them. And for the band, I used friends of mine who all happened to be in Tom Waits' band. So it was more or less Tom Waits' band.
Wow. Like Mark Ribot and people like that?
Yeah, exactly. Mark Ribot was on it, yeah. So then what happened, jump cut a number of years later, Mark Ribot is programming this big festival in Germany, and he's programming Iggy Pop, and he's going to play on it also. And in each concert, they pair a very famous artist with someone less famous, but they make a match. And Mark Ribot and Iggy Pop decide to invite my wife, Tina Kinderman, to sing these German songs with Iggy on stage with Mark Ribot playing. And so we got to play, and then we backed Iggy up, and it was great.
Wow. Is there a trumpet part for I Want to Be Your Dog? I have no...
There is now, baby. There is now.
Oh, wait, can you toogle a little bit? It's like, no, you cannot.
We'll get there later, probably.
We'll get there. We may try. Yeah. But I want to also backtrack because I want to hear if there's any, not just cute stories, but maybe a bit of the process of putting together the knee plays with David Byrne and Robert Wilson, who have, I guess, a very...
Do you have a theater background? Because I'm a little, how do you know Robert Wilson's work?
Oh, well, I've never seen it. I remember you had 3-hour things where you'd be on stage and it takes 15 minutes for someone to move a knee. It's like, and Philip Glass would be under it. It's like turning slowly. Is it intermission yet? Is it I gotta pee. Please let him turn all the way around. No, I know.
So you know what?
I have done a one-person show, off Broadway. Called
what we would do, because those Robert Wilson shows at BAM and everything was so darn expensive that I remember more than once and probably more than 3 times, me and my friends or my wife or something would go to one of those shows, wait for the intermission when people walked out, never to come back, because I was already like 3 hours into a 9-hour piece, just pick up their tickets and watch the rest of the piece. So yeah, Robert Wilson. It's slow stuff, baby.
But working with him and working with David Byrne, how was it?
Again, it's exactly what I was saying about the other people. It's like they know exactly what they want, and you just have to give them exactly what they want. They're both a little autistic. They're definitely both on the spectrum. So it's not unfriendly. It's just not like a huggy-wuggy social affair. But they're great artists, and really, it's just like. It's just I learned so much by just putting aside what I do and listening to what people like that, and then you find other approaches.
Well, were you collaborating with them on that, or were you just a band member?
In that particular case, we weren't collaborating because they had already premiered the piece.
Oh,
I led the touring band version of it. But I definitely, worked with David, especially on the interpretation, and with Robert on who directed us.
Okay. So I was curious
But
about.
I wouldn't call it collaborating.
Fair enough.
Collaborating is where my voice actually has a seat at the table. I worked for them, and
Fair
that's
enough.
perfectly fine.
Let me ask you, Frank London, when you were growing up, who were your musical, because you were hippie, you were listening to rock and roll, but also I assume already you were eclectic in your tastes. Who were your musical idols?
Frank Zappa.
Oh! Yes?
And it's funny because from Zappa, I learned so much other music because like Zappa had a song called the Eric Dolphy Memorial Barbecue.
Yes.
And I said to myself, who is Eric Dolphy? So then I learned about Eric Dolphy. Zappa wrote in his liner notes that he listened to Edgar Varese and Stockhausen.
He's the only person who can listen to Edgar Varese and Stockhausen, but or you like them now?
I love them. I love them. Yeah, they're just wonderful. I mean, so that Zappa was very important.
Did you ever play or audition for Zappa? Did you ever have that experience?
No, I never had that. That would have been interesting. That would have been very challenging. You know, his music is so darn hard. But
and who else really did you love when you were growing up and influenced you, or did you, or maybe?
Oh, okay. Ready? I'm just gonna spritz, as Lenny Bruce used to say. Ready?
Oh, yes.
I have a funny story. I think we're maybe relatively the same age, so this might get it. The first concert, like rock concert, I went to by myself without my parents.
Yeah.
Was at the Westbury Music Fair.
Of course.
And it was Cheech and Chong, who were doing that. At that point, they were doing like, "Hey Dave, where's Dave? Hey Dave," and they were
doing not here. God damn it! He's not here. He's not here. Is that you, Dave? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. And it turned out I didn't even know the opening band at the time. They were relatively unknown. They just put out their first record, but the opening band was Steely Dan, who opened up for Cheech and Chong. I loved Cream. I loved
egg creams. I have to say, I do love egg creams. I say I love egg creams. That was a little, not a joke. I do love egg creams.
Yeah.
As much as
Hendrix. Traffic was a very important band to listen to. What?
My darling wife has handed me some delicious Foxes. You bet.
What? Hold on. Vanilla? You bet.
They make vanilla.
What do you do with the vanilla? You bet. It's like this is I don't know what,
you throw it away. You buy the chocolate. Is what you do. That's what you have to do. Also, would you believe they make coffee and malt?
Oh, I'm sure they do, but I don't know what. Well, you could make like milkshakes with them, but you can't make an egg cream.
You can't make a real egg cream. This is true. So I'm sorry. What was the first record, be it a 45 or whatever, that you went out and bought with your own Frank London money?
The first LP I bought, I think, was Herman's Hermits.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I'm making fun.
And then I remember something by a band called. I mean, we're talking about '64 now, or something like that.
You are a bit older than that, but okay, yeah.
Dino, Desi, and Billy, who had a hit song. This diamond ring doesn't
shine for me anymore, and yes, yeah, right, yeah. This toilet paper doesn't sparkle for me anymore. Yeah.
Those were the first, but basically at a certain point, and it hasn't changed. I realized that what's important for me isn't the kind of music; does it have personality? Is it a little strange? Is it a little bit off center for whatever kind of music it is, whatever. So it's like why maybe I preferred Marvin Gaye over the Supremes, for example. Marvin Gaye had more edge. Marvin Gaye had more bite to his thing. And one of the pivotal moments, a lot of my learning about music is random. I was looking through a used record store a bin of, and again, we're back in probably at this point, maybe 1972 or something. And I saw a record for 25 cents. And it was printed on yellow plastic, see-through yellow plastic, and on only one side of the record. And I said, this is too cool, this is too weird, I'm going to buy it for 25 cents. Because what else could you do with 25 cents? You could get a slice of pizza for 25 cents.
Yes.
And it was good.
Well, not kosher, but still.
Well, yeah, it wasn't trade, because for 25 cents, you didn't get the pepperoni. And the album turned out to be Albert Eiler's Bells. And it just, again, blew my mind. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever heard in my life. But I only bought it because it was on yellow plastic. And then I think the first Jewish album I ever bought was by accident. It was the Fugs.
I've never heard that band. Accident. It's a good band now.
Do you remember the Fugs?
Oh, Tully Kupferberg and Garth Wilson and
Stamfel, Peter Stamfel.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think one of them is still alive, actually. So,
yeah, not Tully. Tully passed a number of years ago.
But so you got the Fugs' first album, and let's say we do like boobs a lot. We do.
Yeah, we do.
The Fugs. So you really are the others, because I've heard some of your other stuff, and when you start gearing up, even if it's klezmer, I actually hear Beefheart in there. Yeah. I heard a bit of them too.
I love Beefheart. The Zappa Beefheart album, Hot Rats, was a very important album for me. Listen to that one a lot.
Definitely. So you do move a lot in the jazz direction. I have to say that's kind of because Hot Rats already moves, especially with Jean-Luc Ponty and all those people. It's getting away from rock into jazz-ish.
Yeah, well, it's a mix. That's what I'm saying. I like stuff that's like a little bit undefinable. It's not real. I didn't really get into jazz until I was about 19, and then I jump off that cliff and never looked back. My favorite trumpeter of all time is a gentleman named Booker Little, who sadly died when he was 23 of a weird, rare disease, and he's just the most profound musician of all time. Booker
Little. Wow. Yeah. See, but now after the show, I'm gonna have to go looking and YouTubing and finding.
Well, listen to a record. The great. He played a lot with Eric Dolphy.
Okay.
And that's how I first discovered him. But he did a record, and of course Charles Mingus is one of my favorite artists. Right. But and Rahsaan Roland Kirk. I saw Rahsaan Roland Kirk.
I like Kirk. One
of the last concerts before he passed away. But there's an album by Max Roach called "We Insist the Freedom Now Suite," and Booker Little's on it. It's gorgeous music.
Wow. I would have to listen to that in a motel, well, a Roach motel. I don't even know what that means. Ladies and gentlemen, we are chatting with the wonderful, the fun, the delightful Frank London. Alas, I cannot stay to do more of this delightful interview. However, Frank London has been so gracious that we are asking him to stay for a while longer to play our weekly Today, Yesterday History Trivia Quiz against our regular panelists. I will not be conducting that because I can't read questions. I read everything backwards because I think it's Hebrew. But Dave, the producer of this program, will be here. So it just remains for me to thank so much Frank London and to remind you to go to franklondon.com for all things Frank London-ish. And get his new album. It's called Ghetto. So you've never had so much fun thinking about ghettos as you will playing this album from Frank London and Friends. So Frank, don't go away. Well, you can pee if you need to go away briefly, but don't go completely away because you're staying and Dave is coming back. Let's hear a little bit more of the wonderful Frank London in the marketplace. All is subterfuge. No, so play a reggae. No? Uh-oh. Why is this not playing? Because I have this down. Here it comes.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
What?
Wow, talk about making a joyful noise. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a bit of Frank London playing some klezmer music there in the marketplace. All is Subterfuge is the name of that piece that you can find on YouTube.
Very appropriate for Prince Philip's funeral.
Well, we're not really. Hey, David Sheward, you are actually talking to former Hungarian royalty. Not me, but Sir, former ex-Sir Frank London is with us. He's a klezmer musician, a jazz, and everything kind of musician, really, who was just talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. Frank London, this is David Sheward. He is the former president of the Drama Desk. He's been a theater critic for many, many years. He writes for TheaterLife.com, CulturalWeekly.com, as well as his own blog, The David Desk. Say hello, Frank. Say hello, David.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi, how are you?
Good to talk to you.
Hi, how are you?
What theater have you been seeing recently? Oh, nothing.
Actually, not true. David, go ahead and tell him.
What?
Well, you went to the Darryl Roth. You've actually been to see a couple of off.
Oh, right. Blindness. I did see Blindness, the production that is the first off-Broadway production where there's no live actors, but the recorded voice of Juliet Stevenson, and we're all socially distanced at the Darryl Roth.
Really? Where is this?
At the Darryl Roth Theater, off-Broadway in New York.
Wow.
Not that far. You could walk there, actually,
Wow.
Frank. It's east side. Yeah.
Hello.
Right off of Union Square.
Oops.
Amazing.
So
Well, I was there for a second. I saw myself for a second.
we hear you, Leslie. We know you're there. So Leslie, welcome. This is also another theater critic. Her name is Leslie Hoban Blake. We see her name there. She is laughing. Hello, Leslie.
Well, I don't know. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Disappearing.
Oh, I don't know. It's
I'm the new David Blaine. I just, I come and I go at will. Okay. Good morning, guys. How are you?
good morning, Leslie. Now, Leslie, please welcome, of course, David Sheward, as well as. Well, she's back. She's back. Our guest in the Daverhood today has been and is staying with us for the game, Frank London, the klezmer musician, the musician. Now, this is the one thing that interests me, Frank. When you were talking to Rabbi Saul, and you mentioned you don't really know from show tunes, it amazes me that being a New Yorker, doing what you were never in a pit band. You never did. Were in the pit in a Broadway show. How did that happen? I guess you weren't in it or something.
I just took I followed my own path, basically. And what happened was I actually love old musicals, but I just don't like the way musicals have been more recently. But I've written about 3 of them, actually. I've written about 3 musicals. So
Do you know any of them?
I don't think so, but I'll be glad.
Well, you have in front of you, David Sheward. Not to mention the other 2 of us, you have the greatest, historian of New York theater. If you name them, he'll probably know them.
Well, okay.
I'm putting you on the spot, David. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Well, one thing I'm particularly proud of, one of the most famous Yiddish plays of all time is a piece called A Night in the Old Marketplace, by Nacht auf dem Alten Markt, by Y.L. Peretz, written over 100 years ago, or just exactly 100 years ago. And it's so weird because it's written up in every history book about modern theater, about Yiddish theater. He basically did techniques like breaking the fourth wall and all sorts of things that are all, just totally common now, but he did them. He was one of the first. He kind of presaged Pirandello in some of his stuff. The problem is this play that he wrote, this famous play, is unstageable. It's literally unstageable. It's been staged less than 5 times in 100 years. There's over 100 some odd characters, most of whom walk on, say one line and walk off. I mean, it's a nightmare.
They all played by Paul Muni at some point in the same play.
Exactly, or Alec Guinness, yeah, or all those actors who specialize in doing, 20 parts. Dave, who else? Peter Sellers.
Peter Sellers.
Who's your favorite actor
Jefferson
who
May.
loves doing like?
Jefferson May.
So you made a musical of this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we made a musical out of that.
So the most unstageable play ever written, you turned into a musical.
Yeah.
Well, what else?
Your
I'm
son
sorry, just
playing
in
a
my
fire
life.
rolled into
What
one.
else do you do with it?
Well, because I'm fortunate to have worked with some great people. The writer on that play and some other stuff I've done is Glenn Berger, who was the writer for Spider-Man. And yeah. So Glenn is brilliant. He figured out, he cracked that nut. And then I worked with Rebecca Teichman, who won a Tony.
Oh yes, of course, we know her very well.
We created a piece called Green Violin, which is sort of a theater piece about the Soviet Yiddish theater, the Gosset.
Was that performed in New York? Was that done here or?
Green Violin was not done. We did concert versions of it in New York. The fully staged versions we did in Philadelphia at the Prince Theater, and then over actually in Russia.
Oh my! Wow. Okay. So Frank London, ladies and gentlemen, joining us for our Today Yesterday quiz.
I'm very impressed, Frank.
Yeah, you should be. Leslie Hoban Blake. I didn't get to give your credentials that you've been a theater director and a theater critic for many, many years, and now you're watchable on the video podcast Critics Circle with our mutual friend Charlie Gross. So, first of all, before we do anything else, Frank, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot and just ask you kindly to pick a number and tell me what it is. I always forget this part. Tell me the number.
We're not doing the Johnny Carson Karnak.
There it is. Yes, your Karnak. It's Lundak, the Magnificent. A number between 1 and 6.
Magnificent. Okay, a number from 1 to
6.
Okay.
Between 1 and 6.
Okay. Tell you what it is?
Tell me what it is.
4.
4. Okay. Now, Leslie, being the lady and still being the old school sexist, Leslie's picking number 2. So Frank is 4, Leslie is 2, and David Sheward?
Wait, so Leslie's 2, Frank is 4.
Right.
I will pick 3.
So David Sheward is enough. And David and Leslie are...
We're a little sandwich, David. I like that.
Oh.
That's what you said last night.
Not going... Oh!
Mr. Peabody.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that so I didn't have to. Well done. All right, let me get to my roll.
I have no idea what just happened. I didn't hear any of that except the applause.
You
What?
said I was a little sandwich because I was
Yes.
between the two of you. And then I
Yes.
said, that's what you said last night.
I actually had to go back and ask for that. Sorry, everyone.
You should know better by now, Leslie. Frank doesn't
I
know.
should, but if I miss it, I don't know.
Yeah.
For all I know, he could have said something about Mr. Peabody. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, you know, they never did that on Match Game.
True. So here we go. What I'm going to do, so Frank, just so you know, I'm going to roll a digital die. It's rolladie.net, and we're going to roll it. No? Hello? There it is. Okay. Number 1 came up on the die, which is closest to Leslie Hoban Blake. So, Leslie, you get to decide whether you go first, second, or third.
I want to go first. I never get a chance to do that.
Okay, I guess.
Thank you, Frank. I would do that too. Okay.
So
We do that together. We could do that together, and you can play the.
oh my goodness, I'll leave
No,
it alone.
we got excited. This is my little spring bear. We often bring mascots. This is my spring bear.
And this is, by the way, we just joined our
Oh,
an adorable llama. Here he is. We've named him
it's
Llama.
llama with 2 L's. It's Yama, not llama. The llama is
that
the
chapstick you
Dalai Lama.
I have a tube of chapstick.
That's it. It's kind of like a wiener dog, a little bit. I'm going to roll the die again. And the die has come up number 4. So, Frank, you get to choose whether you want to go second or third.
I'll go 3rd.
You'll go third. Okay.
Frank has no pet or toy or anything.
So it will be, Frank, you don't have any kind of cute, well, his hat. Your hat is kind of pet-like.
Yeah, but
It's
he
soft
needs
and
like a
furry.
gimmick. He needs to have a gimmick.
Uh-oh, Frank is squinting at something. What's the matter?
He's trying to figure out what you're talking about.
I'm going a little bit blind, and I didn't put on my glasses.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
Oh, the ducky's back.
Oh, yay! Yay! So don't make me
I'm
white.
trying to find, I wasn't warned about the
The pet thing. And you will need a pen and
okay.
paper.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. And for later on, you'll need a pen and paper. Let's see what is
What
that?
is that? Oh, see? Everybody has something. Everybody has something.
Why does David have the phone from the Jersey Shore?
The what?
It looks like the telephone from the TV show The Jersey Shore. It was shaped like a duck, and when they went to pick it up and quack it.
Also, is that your shirt, or are you having seafood? Is that a bib, or is that your
Yeah, I don't get. What is that?
I couldn't figure that out.
What I'm wearing?
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a T-shirt.
with
Oh, okay.
the apron on
With
it.
a bib.
Or,
Well,
Okay.
with stripes and then this.
And then that was.
It's
So if
Oh, look at that.
if you eat anything with ketchup, it'll stain properly. It'll look like part of the shirt.
It's a nautical shirt.
Anyway, thank
Frank,
you.
Frank, eventually we get onto the content.
Eventually,
We
it takes a
really
little time.
oh, I'm
It's
in
so
no
funny
rush
because
at
it's
all.
so little, but when you put it forward, it looks as big as my bear.
That's what she said last night. Okay, here we go. I don't know what that means.
I do.
Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, yes, I do. Ladies and gentlemen, here's how it's going to, and Frank doesn't even know the rules yet. This is a game called Today, Yesterday. It's a trivia quiz. It's all in fun. There's no prizes. There's tremendous amounts of embarrassment, though, so enjoy it. Here's the deal. Leslie will go first. David Sheward will go second. Frank will go third. There's 9 trivia questions plus 1 tiebreaker. Each question is worth 2 points. If you get it right, you get 2 points. If you get it wrong, there's no penalty. So feel free to answer or guess. However, if you get it wrong, one of the other contestants gets to try and answer the question and steal those points. It really is as simple as
And
that.
say funny things about you at the same time.
Yeah, we also, it's in fun. So we all
We
make
throw
fun of each
shade.
other.
We throw complete shade.
Yeah. Are we all
Did you
ready?
mention the rule of what it's about? I'm stepping
Oh,
on your
yeah.
line.
Thank you, Leslie. Yes, thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you did.
There's one theme about this whole thing, and that is, since today is April 17th, 2021, and by the way, it's 11 o'clock, so it's 11 o'clock Eastern Time. You're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, in the background, plus David Sheward, Leslie Hoban Blake, and Frank London here to play the Today, Yesterday quiz. For more information,
I'm beginning to feel like we're watching Rear Window and Joyce really isn't there. You've got a recording
she's a
of
hologram.
several things that she would say. I haven't seen Joyce since maybe the last time we played trivia. It makes me nervous, you know. I mean, when we played my building trivia. Are you there, Joyce? Answer me if you're there. Knock twice.
Please
I heard her laughing.
Help!
I've got her chained in the basement like Jeffrey Dahmer. It's kind of, you hear it coming up through the pipes. But
No, she should be a boy in that case.
what, Dave? What?
She's attending Prince Philip's funeral.
Oh, what is it? Things? So,
That's right.
I. Does anybody have any interest? Even you, Frank?
Oh yes, I watched it until I came over here, and I have it on. I should be taping it. I'm sorry, I forgot to tape it. Okay.
I just have no interest. I have nothing against the guy.
I want to see the dynamic between Harry and William. That's all I'm concerned about. I don't care
Well,
about the
no,
other part of it.
I don't care about
I
that.
do have a theory
Yes.
that not about Prince Philip, but about the whole thing with the TV show and the interview that Oprah did with
Yeah.
Meghan, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that actually it's all about Oprah. It's actually not even about Meghan. It's all about Oprah. And Oprah, it's almost like a Shakespearean battle. She's the woman who would be queen, and she wants to like take down the royalty, and so that she'll be the queen. I imagine this entire Shakespearean battle there.
That's going to be your next opera, man. That's going to be the next.
Give Rebecca a call on that one. She'd
She
be
did
very
make,
interested, I'm
She
sure.
did make several $1 million after that on the basis of that interview.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Good for her. Well, I made. Let's see, Frank. How much are we getting for this interview that you did with Rabbi Saul?
Yes, as I've said before, I'm in the wrong line of business, but there you go.
Aren't we all? So anyway, but the one thing I want to tell you about the Today Yesterday game is that today is April 17th. Every question that is part of this trivia quiz is something that happened in history on this date. So all these things happen on April 17th, whatever year it happened to be. Excuse me. Are you guys all ready?
Yes.
If I don't die of COVID, right? No, here it goes. Here it goes. The first question goes to you, Leslie Hoban Blake.
It does, yes.
The
Gimme.
1397.
Ooh.
Geoffrey Chaucer was invited to read excerpts of his new book, The Canterbury Tales, for King Richard II. The book focused on common people sharing their stories while on a pilgrimage to a cathedral. These folks included a knight, a squire, and the wife of Bath, as well as 3 of these 4 professional folks.
Ooh.
Which of these is not a Canterbury pilgrim?
I know.
Is it, and it's multiple choice, a nun, a monk, a bishop, or a parson?
I know.
So
Okay, as far as I can remember, when April with its cruel, whatever the hell that one, and we used to be able to do it in Middle English. I would say the bishop. There was no bishop. They were common folk, and a bishop is not common folk. I don't recall a bishop being one of them.
Is that your final answer, Leslie Hoban?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, after this show, I'm going to beat my bishop because, yes, that is the correct answer. Well done, Leslie, getting on the
I'm
board.
a Renaissance scholar. That's easy. That's like giving David a question about theater.
Well, we didn't know who was going to go
I'm
first.
so grateful. Thank you. I can tell you what it's based on.
What is it based on?
The Boccaccio's, the Decameron.
Decameron. Okay, cool. Smile, you're on Decameron camera.
Very good.
I'm sorry.
I was on candid camera.
Wait. Leslie,
You were?
You saw it. Oh no, we saw her on the game show.
Yeah, we saw it, To Tell the Truth.
It was a different one I was on. When I was in college, an extremely handsome young man came up to me and said, would I like to make some money? And I very amusingly, I thought, said, is it legal? And he said, well, if you want to get $75 for kissing me all afternoon on a street corner outside the cafeteria, they still had a cafeteria at NYU, then it's legal. And it was candid camera, and we were the setup. We stood on the corner kissing to catch the comments of the people going by. That the camera was in the truck, the van that was parked nearby. And most people were kind of sweet, and smiled and didn't say anything. And other people would go by and say, get a room, And I did not know this guy. Of course, we started to date after that. And he was lovely. But it was the best pickup line in the whole world. And I got $75. So,
Well, you know what that makes?
A buttload of money in those days. That was it. I don't know what you just said.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to. Anywho, Leslie, you're on the board with 2 points. What a great story. That is so. And by the way, if you want to see back in the day, because we also on YouTube, we can actually see Leslie on To Tell the Truth, and she was. Not that you're unattractive now, but holy cow, you were like fashion model back in the day. As was I. Back when
As were all of us. It's so easy to look back and realize that we were hot stuff at one point.
I was good.
Had I known,
it was amazing.
Had I known that I was hot stuff back then, my life would have been totally different than it became.
I still had my Jewish horns back then before they were shaved off. Anywho, don't know what that means. We go to our next question, which goes to.
I almost did a spit take all over my computer with that one. Thank you very much. I had just taken a mouthful.
Now, David, we move all the way up almost to the modern era for your question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
The year 1524. Although he was Italian, this explorer named his ship Le Dauphin and his discovery of Upper New York Bay New Angoulême in honor of a former French king. Name that explorer.
Let me see. So, read it. Say it again.
I will. The year 1524. April 17th. Okay. Although he was Italian, this explorer named his ship Le Dauphin and his discovery, in quotes, of Upper New York Bay New Angoulême in honor of a former French king. Name that explorer.
An Italian explorer. Vasco da Gama?
Is that your final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
I'm afraid you're not the winner of this game-o.
Oh.
Mr. Sheward, that is not the correct answer. And so here's the deal. I'm going to roll the die. I'm going to roll that die, which came up with the number 2. Leslie, that means you can try and steal this question from David Sheward. It's 1524. Although he was Italian, this explorer named his ship Le Dauphin, and his discovery of Upper New York Bay, New Angoulême, in honor of a former French king, name that explorer.
He threw in all those names to confuse you. The only important information in that question is the explorer in Upper New York Bay. That's the only stuff that's important, because that was Verrazano, which is why the bridge is named after him.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
Is that, though, your final?
Yes, it is. I don't know why I'm in teacher mode this morning. God help me. This is my God.
Well, you're a former teacher. Everyone, actually, every single person in this room has been a teacher. Quite literally. David is
Well,
still.
there you go.
I was teaching English. You were, so, but anyway. Leslie, that was a Verrazano yes. Well done. You get 2 more points. Leslie, going away with the game now. She's got 4 points.
Somebody stop me.
Good for you.
Unstoppable.
No, don't. Let me keep doing it. It's okay.
So, but now, Frank London, you get a chance to get on the board if you can get the next question correct. Are you ready? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the tension is mounting. Here we go. The year 1860, and this is a multiple choice. Although prize fighting was illegal in England, the battle between American John C. Heenan, the Benicia boy, and British champ Tom Sayers happened today in Hampshire. Considered the world's first title bout, the fight ended in a brutal, bloody draw after how many rounds? Was it A, 27, B, 34, C, 42, or D, 51?
What was the second one? Second choice?
Yeah, I'll read the question again.
No. Just the
Yeah, you
second.
you don't need the question again. So, world's first title bout ended in a draw after how many rounds? A, 27, B, 34.
34.
34. Is that your final answer?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm afraid we're running numbers on you, Frank London. That is not the correct answer. So we have a steal opportunity from one of our 2 other participants in the game. Thank you. Came up the number 6 on our roll-a-die, and that means that, well, that's closest to Frank, second closest to David Sheward. So, David, you have a chance to ask this question. How many rounds did this battle back in 1860 go?
So it's 27. It's not 34, 40-something or 50-something.
Yeah, 27, 42, 51.
I have a feeling, I don't know, this could be tricky. It's probably, since there were no rules back then, or no Marquess of Queensberry rules, the father of Lord Alfred Douglas, I'm going to say 51.
Is that your final
Yes.
answer? Well, you're playing solitaire alone with a deck of 51, but that is not the correct answer, David Sheward. I'm sorry. So, Leslie Hoban Blake, you have the last chance here to get these 2 points. You could really zoom up here if you know whether this battle went 27 rounds or 42 rounds.
Just the thought of it. This was even before boxing gloves, right? I mean,
Right,
it was like barehanded.
Yeah.
They must have been meat by the end of it, you know? I can't believe it could be 51. I'll say 27. But I think, when was the Marquess of Queensberry? When was Oscar Wilde? It was after that?
We can coach you, but David,
No, it's a side question. It has nothing to do with my answer. It's just, I thought that they already had that for the upper class. This was not an upper class boxing.
Maybe I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just curious. Go ahead. My answer is 27.
Your answer is
which is unbelievable in and of itself.
Well, I seem to have stumped the panel. Yeah, it was 42 rounds. It lasted 2.5 hours, and it's good that you brought up David, Marcus of Queensberry, and Leslie, because what happened was this is the thing. This started.
Oh.
There were no rules.
Oh, okay.
After this,
All right.
Queensberry rules were put in place for 3-minute rounds, wearing gloves, 10-second. A lot of the things that are still in place today, thanks to this brawl, because they ended like a riot, and it was just nuts. So then they needed rules, and they did them after.
Oh, it was a draw. Nobody won right after all
It was a draw.
that.
Yeah, they pummeled each other almost to death. And
Wow.
then yeah. Fun stuff. Anyway, the fun is that we finished round 1 of our today-yesterday quiz with Leslie leading 4 points to David and Frank. Still no points on the board yet, but we have a new round to start. Although Leslie, Frank, I want to tell you something, and I tell this to all the new guests who play the game. Don't feel bad. Some guests don't get any points the whole thing. It's not an easy quiz. Luck is involved of what question you get, and sometimes
Also
it's
bribery.
people guess. Oh, and also you didn't bribe me before the show, which even $10. I would have just picked questions all about klezmer music. But here's the deal. So don't feel, so far you don't have any points on the board. And even if you don't get any, it's all about the fun of playing. But here we go. Leslie, you get to try and get 2 more points. Are you ready?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I thought it was
yes.
mine. Oh,
I
yeah,
have
you're
no
right.
shame. What?
You're right. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah, no, Leslie goes for it.
You're right. You're right.
Leslie's,
Yeah, for a change, David.
Yeah.
He's so used to going first.
Yeah.
And he just automatically thinks he's going first.
Go ahead.
So here you go, Leslie. April 17th, 1861. Precipitating the American Civil War, Virginia secedes from the Union today. One of Virginia's nicknames, besides Old Dominion, is Mother of Presidents because 8 American presidents were born there, but only one of them in the 20th century. Which one? This is a multiple choice. Was it Woodrow Wilson, William Howard Taft, C. Herbert Hoover, or D. Gerald Ford?
Huh. Virginia.
Yeah,
We're talking about Virginia. Okay.
Mother of
Name them again, please. Name
Of
them
course.
again.
So which of these presidents was born in Virginia? Was it A, Woodrow Wilson, B, William Howard Taft, C, Herbert Hoover, or D, Gerald Ford?
Huh. David knows all the presidents by number. I don't have any idea. I'm going to guess Gerald Ford. I have no idea.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's my final guess.
Well, Leslie Hoban Blake, you should have switched from a Ford to a Buick because that is not the correct answer, I'm afraid. So we have a steal opportunity from our 2 other contestants. Let's roll those dice. Come on, let's roll it. Oh, it came up 6. Again, so 6 is closest to Frank. Frank, you have a chance to steal this question. Who among these 20th century presidents was born in Virginia? Was it Woodrow Wilson, William Howard Taft, or Herbert Hoover?
Oh, he's muted. You're muted.
I think I should unmute. I think unmuting is a good thing. I think Taft is the Virginian. Actually, who played the Virginian? That's the more important question.
Gary
David,
Cooper.
who played the Virginian?
Gary Cooper.
Gary Cooper. So it's Gary Cooper was the Virginian. But other than that, I'll go for Taft.
You will go for Taft. I can't think of a pun. This is terrible, but it's not the correct answer. It's saltwater tafty. It's not.
You drew a bad draft.
Yeah. Oh.
Mr. David.
Oh, Mr. Sheward.
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
Taft. No, I can't.
Daft.
Nothing comes to me.
Daft. D-A-F-T. Daft.
Daft. That's right. It was a daft answer. It was a nice answer, but not the correct one. So, Leslie, amazingly enough, I think you're. No, excuse me.
I don't get
I
the
get one more
second chance.
chance.
David gets it.
Sure,
I don't get the second
yeah.
chance.
So,
There's
question
only-
is, which of these presidents was born in the Mother of Presidents states, Mother of Presidents state, Virginia, in the 20th century? Was it Woodrow Wilson or Herbert Hoover?
All right, now that I know that Wilson was born in a southern state because he had southern sympathies, and I remember him saying remember being in the South. And then he later moved to New Jersey and became president of Princeton. And the other one is Hoover. I think Hoover was from Ohio or someplace like that. Ford, by the way, was from Michigan.
Oh, thank you.
Taft, I think, was from Ohio too. All right, so I'm going to say Woodrow Wilson.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, I knew you would get that right. Well done, David Sheward. Some of your other information was a little bit incorrect, but that's okay. Ford was born in Omaha. He was born in Nebraska.
Oh. Well, he moved to Michigan.
I don't know where the others were born, but these are the 8 presidents. Amazingly enough, I thought all presidents were born in Texas, but no. Virginia had Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, Zachary Taylor, Woodrow Wilson. And so those were the big 8. But David Sheward, you are on the board.
I totally forgot we had presidents named Taylor and Tyler. I swear to God, it sounds like a rock band.
Who could forget Tippecanoe and Tyler?
You said he had Southern sympathies. He showed Birth of a Nation in the White House and called it the greatest film ever made.
Yes, he did.
That's to his everlasting.
Well, at the time, it was the greatest film ever made, even though it was racist and stupid. But it was the biggest epic anybody ever seen on a movie.
But I have the book The Klansman that it's based on, and they actually cleaned it up because it's like kill them ends, all through the book.
Gone with the Wind was pretty. The novel.
By comparison,
Gone with the Wind was pretty racist too. The novel.
You think? Oh, the novel for sure.
Well, movie too, in modern terms, Gone with the Wind is problematic with Butterfly McQueen. I ain't boy for no babies. And I tried out for that role several times.
I don't know nothing about Birth and No Babies. There's a whole line. I don't know nothing. I
don't know. Do it, please. Please.
That's the line.
Get us thrown off the air, Leslie. Doing your blackest voice.
No, I did not. I was doing my Butterfly McQueen imitation. Am I going to be in trouble now? Or are you going to have to make me? You have to cancel me, David, because I did that.
It's a good thing.
Am I canceled?
No, it's a good thing Vicki Lawrence did not do blackface when they Went with the Wind on the Carol Burnett show.
Yes, you are so right. You are so right.
I think they did.
No.
I wonder if she had the option and she chose not to.
She did not do it in blackface.
No, but I wonder if she had the option. I wonder if they wanted her to, but she said, no, I won't do that.
Probably not. They did do blackface on Laugh-In, though.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was on Laugh-In, they did a minstrel show. Remember the news, when they would do the news, introducing the news?
Oh,
and what's the news across the nation? We have got information.
Right.
There was one episode where it was always the female members of the cast. So they did a different musical style every week. So they did a minstrel show type of thing. And all of the women were in blackface, except for Chelsea Brown, who was the only black member of the cast, and she was in whiteface.
Oh, well, that's actually all right. That made it okay in my book.
Judy Carn said, "You know something, Chelsea? I've only been black for 5 minutes, and I'm already sick of you white chicks."
Actually, cool. That's
who were the writers on that show?
There were like David? 20 of them.
Oh, anybody, but nobody came out like Mel Brooks or
Mel Brooks
nobody like that.
I don't know if anybody's.
There's a wonderful film on blackface by, I think his name is Bogle, Bogle, a black historian.
Douglas. Who wrote
Douglas or Donald? I know it's a D. I thought it was Donald, but anyway, it's brilliant. I was collecting those films on my own, just because it got to me at a certain point that Fred Astaire in blackface was uncomfortable, and I was raised, I mean, my family, Al Jolson was basically a god in our home. Some of the first records I ever heard were my dad's old records of Al Jolson. I think there's an album of 78s that was kept where you see white hands clapping on the front of it. It's Al Jolson. White gloves, not white hands, white gloves clapping. And never thinking twice about it, never thinking that it was odd that he was the son of a cantor and singing in blackface. I mean, none of that seemed to make any, it was, I didn't know anything about it.
Eddie Cantor was Cantor, and he was
Cantor also.
Oh, yeah.
if you're interested in that whole subject, you should see Cheryl Dunier's, I don't know how she pronounced her name.
Oh, the Watermelon Woman? The
Watermelon Woman, yes.
Yeah, I love that film.
Well, I was at an art museum in California, and I didn't realize that the film is just one part of this huge art project that Cheryl Dunn, how do you pronounce her last name?
Dunier.
Dunier. She did a whole extended art project where she invented this character of the actress, the black actress.
Right.
And it's an incredible. She made photos, she made diaries, she made fake news reports. It's really it
was a display of some sort,
it was an exhibition. It was
an exhibition. Oh wow.
Yeah, and but yeah, they as my sister in England would say, they really took the piss out of blackface with that one.
Yeah, but see, nobody paid attention to the film at the time. That's the problem.
Well,
it was an indie, and it was by a woman, and it was on a racial subject, so it kind of just slid under the door for years. It's been rediscovered. It's been rediscovered in I would say the last 20 years, and given its proper due as a pivotal film of its kind, you know. But I didn't know about the exhibition. That's marvelous.
Yeah, it's wild.
I just wanted to, and this is not a joke, this is an actual thing, because sometimes Joyce and I will watch videos on YouTube, and I never occurred, I didn't even realize back in the day, but if you go back and watch Boy George's song, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me?
Was he blackface?
The video that made him, part of it, there's a whole jury in there of people in blackface swaying and going like that. I was like, holy crap! Yeah.
Well, worst of all, he's a Brit. They abolished slavery even before we did.
Yeah. So it's just
that's interesting.
And I saw that video a million times when I was growing up on MTV. It was like just another image. It was just another cute, weird Boy Georgie because he's crossing lines of gender and crossing makeup, and so is other people wearing makeup. You know, now it's like, oh, it's white people going, mama. Yeah.
David, what's the name of that Spike Lee movie? It starts with B. It's not Bamboozled. It is Bamboozled.
It is Bamboozled. Yeah.
Oh, it's Bamboozled. Okay, that's the name of the film. Yeah, which was Spike Lee's take on the whole entertainment, black early days of black entertainment.
Well, I don't know if you guys realize, but you know, I'm tall and I'm blonde with gray hair. I'm in Jew face. This is me. This nose. This is all just prosthetic. Man,
is that resting Jew face, or is that active Jew face?
Oh, you want to see my Jew bitch face? You certainly don't want to see that one. Oh, it's the worst. Anyway, we have a game here somewhere. Oh yeah, it's 4-2 so far. Leslie Hoban Blake leading in our yesterday game, but it's time now for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So David Sheward, you get the next question. Our fifth question is in our second round. Are you ready? Okay,
I'm ready.
The year is 1925, and it's a.
Are you all right, Frank?
Yes, I just dropped.
Okay,
I dropped my little friend.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad you rescued him.
Who's not helping me get any of the answers anyway.
He comes in sideways. That's cute, coming in sideways.
Okay.
Here we go. This is multiple choice. 1925.
Yes.
After complaining, and we're almost David Sheward's not Jewish, but the rest of us are, so we'll understand this. After complaining repeatedly about pain.
His spouse is Jewish, so he's.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're married to a Jew, David. So yeah.
And I'm only half Jewish.
No, really? Which half?
My father was Jewish, not my mother. So.
Yeah. No, I mean
half a Jew. It's called half a Jew. HAFFA. Half a Jew.
Okay. Anywho, here David's like, get on with the question. I'm here for the game.
This is just to keep David waiting for the question, and then to throw him a little bit. That's all.
After complaining repeatedly about pain, legendary Yankee Babe Ruth undergoes successful surgery today in Manhattan. What was the complaint and what was the surgery? Was it A, headache tonsillectomy, B, backache shoulder surgery, C, bellyache ulcer, D, toothache root canal?
Okay. Well, I think the one that jumps into my mind is bellyache ulcer, because he was such a big guy and he drank so much and carried on and probably did a lot of stuff that led to ulcerative conditions. But that's the obvious answer. Could be toothache. So it's ulcer and what?
So I'll read the four.
Bellyache and
Headache, tonsillectomy, backache, shoulder surgery, bellyache, ulcer, toothache, root canal.
I'll just go with the one that leaps out at me. Bellyache, ulcer, surgery. Yeah, the stomach leaps out at me.
Well, it's good of you to go with your gut because that is the correct answer, David.
Yay!
What happened was he had a 7-week recovery from the ulcer because basically, as you said, all his drinking, all his other stuff. Some people say he was also recovering from VD or a big problem with acid reflux. And weirdly enough, though, he recovered.
Speaking of VD, yes, there we go.
Oh.
Wrong answer.
The
Go ahead.
ducks were applauding, and you took it the wrong way. You took it the wrong way.
Well, I wasn't expecting that on the bill, but I'm sorry. The following year, though, the interesting thing was because he was in the hospital for a while, he cleaned up, and that's when he got into the best shape of his life and became part of Murderers Row. Was the year after that, so he came back strong. But yeah, Babe Ruth, well done, David Sheward.
I got a sports question, yeah.
Yeah, right. And you
know, David, I have a picture of real ducks kissing. I will send it to you. I took it on the river. I live on the river, and so I walk up and down, and the ducks are back, and they actually do that. They're not kissing, but they actually do touch bills.
Did you get their permission?
Only if she photographed their feet because they have to go on the web.
Oh, dear.
Well, yeah, sorry.
You're so good at the spur of the moment, David. The puns are terrible, but the fact that you can come up with them is amazing.
Thank you. I don't know how to respond.
Right. For all. 4-2. 4.
But Frank London gets the next question. Yes. So he can get on the board. Frank, are you ready for a question? Here we go. It's a multiple choice. 1932 was the year, April 17th the day. Some of our clues in this quiz are highly questionable, but this one is Haile Selassie. The emperor of Ethiopia ended slavery there on this date, but which of these is not true about old Haile? Was it A, he was a Time Magazine Man of the Year? B, Bob Marley translated one of his speeches to create the song War? C, the name Haile Selassie means power of the Trinity? Or D, Selassie sent nearly a dozen personal letters to Harry Truman begging him to stop the Korean War?
You know, most of what I know about Haile Selassie are the famous stories of him first going to Jamaica and not realizing that he was revered as this god by these crazy Rastafarians. And as he opened up the plane door on the runway and he saw these hundreds or thousands of Rastafarians, he got scared and ran back on the plane. and the other stuff is about an amazing book written after his death by the writer Richard Kapuscinski, who wrote about the court of Haile Selassie. He wrote about Haile Selassie by interviewing the people who were in his court. And during the famine in Eritrea, which was one of the many debacles of his reign, the guy whose job was the joke teller.
There was a job.
Yeah, he was like the court jester. And he said, his magnificence wasn't laughing as much these last few weeks. So, but none of this helps me.
Sounds like he's auto-tuned.
Frank, we're losing you. Hold on. Frank, start again. I think you're frozen now.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say beer on Time Magazine. You hear me? Hello?
Last part. So your answer was the thing that did not...
That he was not Time Man of the Year.
What time is it? That's the wrong answer. I'm sorry, that is not the correct answer for that question. So we have another steal opportunity from David Sheward or Leslie Hoban Blake. I'm rolling the die. Why isn't it roll? Thank you very much. I get a mark.
I must say though, Frank, whether you got it right or wrong, you certainly belong with us because you have a story for it. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to get into the
no,
flow.
I like that.
Yeah. So it came up on number 1, so that means it is closer to Leslie. Leslie, you get to steal this. I'll read the question and the things again. I won't read.
Sorry, David. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Yeah.
So in Ethiopia, on this date in 1932, Haile Selassie ended slavery, but which is not true about Haile Selassie? Yeah. Is it B, Bob Marley translated one of his speeches to create the song War? C, the name Haile Selassie means power of the Trinity? Or D, Selassie sent nearly a dozen personal letters to Harry Truman begging him to stop the Korean War?
By the way, I've seen that time cover. It's quite something given the time period that he would have been chosen. I think it's the translation. I think the name means something else. I used to remember what it meant. It's Most High something, but I don't think it's power of the Trinity. I don't think so.
So that is your final answer?
Well, I was just going to say there are a lot of Ethiopian Jews, so my feeling is that that's not the right answer.
Okay. Well, 1, 2, 3. Power of the Trinity is not the correct answer to this question. That's what Haile Selassie actually means. So, okay. David Sheward, you get to try and steal this question. Which of these is not true about Haile Selassie, Emperor?
So it's either the letters to Truman to stop Korea, or what's the other one?
Bob Marley translated one of his speeches to create the song War.
Oh, now that's interesting, because what Frank said about Rastafarians, maybe that ties in with Bob Marley. So I'll say he probably wrote 29 letters to Harry Truman to stop the Korean War, or 31 or something like that. Okay, so it's 50-50. I'll go with the letters to Truman.
You're saying that is the
right
answer, but he didn't do that.
He did not write that number of letters.
Well, you are certainly true in that particular instance. Well done, David Sheward. You get what happened was, it's more than that, David. It's not that, not only that Haile Selassie, not the number of letters. When the Korean War was happening, Selassie wanted stability in the region. He volunteered and he sent troops to Korea to help out. So it was not a peacenik at all in this case. He was okay with the war happening and trying to help America do it. So you got the right answer for a different reason. So well done. And as you said, Leslie, he was on the cover of Time magazine. And if you read Selassie's speech, you can see where part of war, the Marley song, comes from. Of like, if we want this to stop and this to stop and this to stop, everywhere is war. So anyway, well done, David Sheward. Oh, what a shock, he's leading.
David, I'm giving you one of these because right now I'm very angry that you're leading. Okay.
Oh, you mean like Nancy Pelosi to Donald Trump?
Yes. Well, it's this way, yes. But I can't hold there and do that. But okay, I'm upset. So get me another question, please.
It's like an old man with venereal disease. He has a slow clap.
I'm feeling competitive this morning.
Whose turn is it now? I've lost track.
All right. Well, here's the deal. We're into round 3 now.
He just wants to hear you say it. He wants to hear you say it.
David Sheward is leading the game with 6 points. Leslie Hoban Blake has 4, and Frank London not yet on the board, but that could change.
I love your optimistic "not yet." That's very, very polite.
He does his best. He gives out the person who tried hardest things at the end, too.
It's true. You get a participation medal. You do. We'll call you. We'll reinstate your sir. That would be lovely. Here we go. So here's the deal. This final round, we begin with Leslie Sheward, who's still very much in the game, but you all are. You all can
just called me Leslie Sheward. I think that's not a possibility, but go ahead.
Anywho.
That ship has sailed. Yes, David? That ship was never even in the harbor. Never mind. It's okay.
Don't even. No. 1969 is the year. So Leslie, I could make a 69.
1960, you say 1969?
69. Big year. 69. Okay. Beginning their first ever tour with 3 nights at San Francisco's Winterland is the band, formerly known as the Hawks. Until then, best known as Bob Dylan's backing group.
Oh.
Playing lead guitar and writing most of their songs is this Canadian musician,
Robbie Robertson. I loved him. I was mad about him.
Final answer then?
Oh yeah.
All right, too easy, I guess. Yeah, and then that one, Frank was like, "Of course." Yeah, Frank was saying he played with Levon Helm at one point. So,
oh, did you? Oh, he was the other one I loved. Oh my God, I went to see a Levon Helm concert. You know, in the latter days when he was on his own. I really love that man.
He brilliant musician.
Yeah.
Did you have a Levon Helm story you can tell? Any, or was he a?
I don't. Maybe Frank does.
Well,
I did not have. No, I was just a fan.
I'm asking Frank.
Overage fangirl. That's me.
I don't know anyone who could sing and play drums and do both so well at the same time. I mean, it's ridiculous. And when I think about it, all my favorite songs by the band are the ones that Levon sang lead on, even though you're right, Robbie Robertson was the lead singer. But all our favorite songs, Take a Load Off Annie, Levon sang lead on.
That was my theme song for years. I loved that song. So it played in my head constantly. Loved, and it was in so many movies. Robert Altman loved that song too.
Huh. Okay. By the way, here's anyone can pick up there, but let me see, Leslie, since you were a super fan. Robbie Robertson, what's his real first name? You don't get any points, but I'm just.
Oh, I don't have any idea. I truly don't know. I mean, the obvious question would be Robert, and I'm sure that's wrong because it's too easy. So I have no idea.
Depending on how he pronounces either Jamie or Jaime, but I don't. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Jamie Robbie.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad he changed it to Robbie because it wouldn't have worked the other way.
Oh, Jamie Robertson, that worked.
No, Jaime Robertson would not have worked that way.
Jaime, well. Here we are.
Is that Hyme or Jaime? Which way is it?
Second, Jaime. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, we have a tie. We have a tie between. Am I right about this? Hold on.
Yes.
Leslie.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have a tie. Yes.
This is exciting, folks. So it's anybody's game still, because I don't know if it's anybody's game, but we have a tie. So here we go. The next question does go to David Sheward, who can take the lead.
Okay.
The year 1979. This is so weird. This is like completely by accident because we were just talking about this early in the show. The year 1979. After success in the West End, Whose Life Is It Anyway opens at Broadway's Trafalgar Theater for a 6-month run. It closes, then reopens at the Royale with a woman playing the lead role. Both times the leads won Tonys for 1 point each. Name those Tony-winning actors.
Tom Conti and Mary Tyler Moore.
Is that
give it to him on a plate, David. Just give it to him on a plate, David.
Waited so long.
Not everybody would know them, yeah, and it wouldn't necessarily have gone to David, depending on who rolled the dice. And anyway, David, is that your final answer? Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, your final answer. Yes, it's Tom Conti for 1 point and Mary Tyler Moore for the other point. David Sheward gets 2 points, and he
Theater. Wow.
is back in the Trafalgar. Yeah,
That's the only thing that gave me pause for a moment. I'll have to look it up. But
look at the Trafalgar. Is it demolished or did it turn into?
I guess.
Yeah, or they rename it to
I guess I'll have to look. I will have to check that.
Skull, theater.
I remember going there at some point. Probably in the 80s, but I don't know.
And the Royale is now the Schoenfeld, I think.
Oh, they renamed the Royale. I mean, not that he shouldn't have a.
I believe the Royale is now the Gerald Schoenfeld.
Oh, okay. Well, this is still there. Our last question of the third round will go to.
So now it's 8-6, right?
It is. I'm sorry. Yes, David, you are. Yes, you're winning, David. You are winning 8-6.
I want to make sure,
But if Frank misses this question and Leslie gets it, we could have a tie and go into a tiebreaker. Okay. So Let's,
Right.
but hey, maybe Frank.
We're
will-
not wishing that you don't get it, Frank. I hope that you do get
Oh, I
it.
want him to get it.
Let's see.
It's only David I don't want to get it.
This might be in Frank's wheelhouse. I'm not sure. The year was 1987. Now, speaking of theater, this noted translator of Moliere plays was appointed America's Poet Laureate today, 30 years after his Things of This World won a Pulitzer and National Book Award. Name him.
The funny thing is, I do know, but I'm going to get it wrong just because I want to give Leslie a possible chance to catch up with.
Oh, Frank, you're very sweet. I cannot remember
I'll just say,
exactly.
I'll just say randomly, Tom
No, Frank,
Stoppard.
if you
No,
know it,
no,
Frank,
no,
if you know it,
no.
listen to me.
I'm liking this.
I can't. I don't know who it was. I can only think of the initials.
Well, you're on.
Take-
I've done my part, Leslie. You're on your own. Tom Stoppard. Ogden Nash. Whatever.
Nash would be actually a really good guess, but are you really going to go with that?
Yeah. I want to give Leslie a chance.
Whoa. Well, roll the die.
What a nice thing to do. Oh.
Because it was not Tom Stoppard.
Nor was it Ogden Nash, but candy is dandy and liquor is quicker nonetheless.
Liquor, I hardly know her. So here's the deal. The die, the die came up number 6, which means not Leslie, but David Sheward
That's the way it goes.
gets a chance. Well, we have to get the question right, though, David.
Okay.
Otherwise, Leslie still has a chance to steal. So,
I can't come up with it.
Yes.
1987, speaking of theater, this noted translator of Moliere plays was appointed America's Poet Laureate today, 30 years after his Things of This World, won a Pulitzer and National Book Award. Can you name him?
Richard Wilbur.
Is that your final answer, though?
Yes.
Wilbur! Yes. Yes, David
You
Sheward.
know how crazy the mind is? Because it's Wilbur and because I know it's somewhere up in here, I kept coming up with the name Orville.
Oh.
As if somehow I would get to, I couldn't get to Wilbur,
Right.
but I got to Orville.
Well, you would be flying high if Orville were right.
Yeah, I would if that had been the answer, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
But,
And by the way, David, that did play into your wheelhouse, because the Misanthrope that he worked on won a Drama Desk Award. I assume you're going to have that in your head.
That I didn't.
I don't think, was that not earlier than your time, David, the Misanthrope?
I guess.
That Richard Wilbur did.
I guess.
I mean, it's an earlier version. We all saw the later one, and it was still
Yes,
Richard Wilbur.
I guess
but-
it was in the 60s.
So
Yeah,
here's the deal.
probably.
Here's the deal. Let me do this. I want to get Frank,
Congratulations, David.
I want to get
by the
Frank
way.
on the board, even though David has technically won the game and we haven't done our tiebreaker yet. But I will give Frank this question, just if you guys are okay with it for fun.
Sure.
Richard Wilbur, that was the correct answer. He wrote the book for a Broadway musical that had music in it by Leonard Bernstein. What was that musical?
And it was before West Side Story. And it certainly wasn't Candide, obviously. I don't know. What,
Maybe want to backtrack a little bit.
it is Candide? What?
Yeah, it was Candy. It was
Candy.
Yeah, you said it. I heard Candy. I'm gonna give you a point. Yes.
I mean, I was thinking Voltaire, but then you said the book, so that
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the book of the musical. I didn't mean...
Yeah, no. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, but hold on. Theater scholars. So, what other musicals did Bernstein write?
On the Town.
Yep.
Wonderful Town.
Oh, I don't know.
West Side Story. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The huge flop. And he
Trouble
did
in Tahiti, although that wasn't
the
a
opera. The opera Trouble in Tahiti, and the opera A Quiet Place.
But 1600, I've never heard of that.
It was a big bomb, and it only ran a week.
What was it based on? Anything, or was it an original?
It was about the White House. It was in 1976 or so. It was in honor of the bicentennial. And
No, that was 1600 Pennsylvania. What was
I
a
just
quiet
said
place?
1600.
Oh,
I'm asking you what a quiet place was.
Oh,
I
it was
know
an
it's
opera,
1600.
an opera about family, and there was gay characters in it.
Oh, really? Oh, lovely. Is that
1600.
is it revivable?
I guess so. Yes. Oh, and Mass. He did a piece called Mass, which was kind of an oratorio with.
Oh,
with
Mass is
Yeah.
Mass is brilliant. I mean, that's
oh.
But
Wow.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue had a book and lyrics by Alan J. Lerner, and it was this. It was like one. It was like all the presidents. a
so.
history of
Has it
presidents.
has it been done by the Revival series? It sounds like a perfect piece.
They
for
did it. They did a sort of a mini concert version of it at the York Theater Company.
And did you see it?
The lead in that was Ken something.
Ken Howard and Patricia.
Ken
Rutledge.
Howard.
Ken Howard and Patricia Rutledge, and they played the president and the first lady from Washington all the way up to Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, cool. Cool. But you say was it is it revivable, David, or is it still like
Only as a curiosity. You could only do it as a one-night concert thing for look. Oh, isn't this interesting? I don't think you could do it as a commercial vehicle because it's so terrible and disjointed. I mean, the overall show doesn't work. But if you sort of did it as like, oh, this is interesting, let's take a look at it for one night.
Yeah, and it's kind of who's that? Oh, he's been on the show. The guy who does Broadway by the year, Scott Siegel. And that's kind of where he does.
He might do songs
Right.
from. And
Yeah.
my former colleague at when I was working at Backstage, Eric Hodkinson, did a concert rewrite of it for the York
How
Theater.
is Eric doing? Do you ever see him? He became my editor after you.
I saw him upon occasion. I see him sometimes on Facebook.
Oh, please send my best wishes.
If
If you run into him,
if I
right?
run into him,
Yeah.
sure. And when we go back to the theater, I hope I will
Yes,
see him.
well, bless your heart, Frank. Thank you very much for all of that. By the way, we came up with the one thing that would get me in the theater. It's on the new show. We were doing recasting, but please, guys, play this game with us and send me some ideas. Revivals you'd like to see and the recasting. We were riffing off the Times doing the 75th anniversary of Follies in the future with Beyonce, and Charlie came up with a great idea. He said every actress of her time played Mame. I played Vera, of course, but every actress of her time, I played Vera, played Mame. And so he said, so the time has come to recast it in a different way. And then he said, how about Charles Bush as Mame and Harvey Firestein as Vera?
Oh.
And that's exactly was my reaction. I said, that would get my butt in a seat. I can't think of anything that would get me into the theater except that.
Bush has done anti-Mame, but not the musical.
Yes, I know. But I want to see them do the musical. I would fell for that. That's a strange show because Mame works her butt off and she does win the Tony, but Vera gets the applause with those silly little scenes in between. It was so great that B. Arthur was able to,
Well, what I always say, if you can't be good, be Arthur. But ladies and gentlemen, do you guys want to? I know I've kept you so long, Frank, but we can do one more question. We didn't do the tiebreaker, and we can have fun with this. So, Frank, do you have a?
Oh, stay, Frank, stay.
I'm here.
Great. Do you have a pen and paper, Frank? Or
Yeah,
pencil, or just something to write to scratch down on.
sure,
Because
absolutely.
even though it's the game is won, and David, as usual, walked away with a.
last week.
No, I won last week. Don't downplay that. I don't get to do it very often.
All right, okay. David's probably like 70-30.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I would say
I'm
that's
ready
a
for
fair estimation.
you. I'm ready
If
for
we
you.
kept track, but who's counting?
So here's the deal. We have one more question, and rather than ask it the way we've been asking it, all three of you get to write at the same time, and then I'll do a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And
I have
we'll
to put Bear down to do this. I can't hold her
Final
and do this.
Jeopardy.
Okay.
All right. So here's the question. I'll read it twice, and then I'll give a 3, 2, 1, and you'll show your answers to the camera. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
The year was 1956. During tournament play, this man sank 150 consecutive balls in a billiard tournament almost as impressive as the 526 straight balls he sunk in an exhibition 2 years earlier. Name that player who isn't Minnesota Fats.
Oh. Okay. Oh.
Could you get that?
I know who he was. I don't know his name. I know who he was. I have blank paper.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm going to do the Frank Gorshin move, the big question mark.
Hello?
Wait, hold on. Let's annoy you during this phone call.
No, don't bother. It's probably his mom. She's probably saying, get off that show, David.
Why are you watching that stupid show?
David's mom wants him off the show. Get off the show, David. Get off the show.
So we have no answers, by the way. David, did you?
Are we showing them? Sorry.
We're showing because they already showed, so nobody's showing anything. And you have? Jack, oh, a great answer. That is not the correct answer, though.
But he taught Jackie Gleason. He taught Gleason and he taught Newman both. And I can't think of his name. He was the champion.
Think Italian name?
I know. I thought Italian names and nothing would come.
Can help.
Okay. With an M? I don't know.
Yes, it does. It does begin with an M. The last name begins with an M. No? No. Sort of sounds like an Italian pastry, his last name? No.
Marzipan?
Sounds like it isn't one. But, all right, I'll just give it away. I wouldn't have gotten this either. By the way, you should also know, Frank, that if I were asking myself these questions and hadn't done them, I would know maybe 2 or 3 of them. But the answer is Willie Mosconi.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Willie Mosconi. He was the other guy besides Minnesota. And Minnesota, he didn't like Minnesota Fats because he was kind of, more out there and gregarious and dumbed down pool for the masses. And Mosconi's like, well, this is an art form, But yeah, that was the answer to that final tiebreaker question. So, ladies and gentlemen, it remains for me to thank so much our guests playing in the Daverhood. First of all, and foremost this week, Frank London. Everybody go to franklondon.com to read about him, to discover his music, and certainly to find out more and buy his new album. It's called Ghetto Songs. It is ghetto fabulous. So yeah, want to remind everybody just what it's about, Frank, real quick, so that people have want to buy it.
It's total truth in advertising. It's songs from and about the world's ghettos. Everything from music by Solomani Rossi and Benedetto Marcello from the Venice Ghetto 500 years ago or 450 years ago, to music from the South African townships, to the famous song "The World Is a Ghetto" by War, to music from the Polish, the Warsaw Ghetto, music from the world's ghettos.
Yeah.
Do you know Hershey Felder?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was our guest a couple of weeks ago.
Well, and we've interviewed him several times too.
One of my closest friends and frequent collaborator is Eleanor Risa, who
I love Eleanor. I've known Eleanor for years.
Exactly. So
I knew her as an actress. I knew her back in the days when she was still an actress.
She still is an actress. In fact,
no, I know that. I'm saying back when we were both girls, back in the day.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry, and I apologize for this beforehand, but it does occur to me that if she ever did a career retrospective and had Hershey Felder, playing behind her, she could call it Reese's Pieces with Hershey.
Oh.
See, the way your mind works, David, it's
horrible.
I wouldn't want to be up there. I mean, I really wouldn't want to be up there. Yeah, but I admire the way it goes. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you. And I admire that Jew came in a very close second, Leslie Hoban Blake, in our game today. Now, Leslie Hoban Blake, you can watch her with our mutual friend Charlie Gross, because they're in the video podcast. It is called Critics Circle. You can watch it for free on YouTube on the Critics Circle channel. Leslie, did you do a new episode this week?
Yes, we did. And as I said, we played the recast game. We did about 10 recastings that were kind of fun. We didn't tell each other what they were going to be in advance, so we were both surprised. But we would love you to go to the site and give us an idea. David, both of you guys, I don't know about you, because you said, Frank, you don't. I keep going this because on my screen, you're down in my lower left quadrant. So if I don't know where you are, and I'm looking at the lower left quadrant.
Frank is on my upper left.
I know, I make that mistake all the time. I'm supposed to look at the camera, and I never do that. But we would love to have you just for fun recast a show that you love, and with contemporary artists. They have to be living. They can't be dead. They have to be people who could actually do the parts.
Well,
We come up with some interesting things.
if I wanted to be provocative, the show I would ask to be recast is the Zulu and the Zadie.
Yes, but you would be the Lou Gossett role.
I love Lou. I've known him again from those days. I love him.
So who do we recast in the Zulu and the Zadie?
Well, who
That
would
was
be Menashe
Pincus, right?
Skolnick? Yeah.
Menashe Skolnick.
Who play him?
Pinky Lee is dead. Menashe Skolnick is dead. Nobody walks around doing that anymore.
Jimmy J.J. Walker.
Adam Sandler.
Okay.
Oh my God, Adam Sandler. You're right.
That would work.
That's exactly who could do it. Adam Sandler.
DMX.
And Chris Rock. If he
Yes,
could
Adam
sing.
Sandler and Chris Rock.
If he could sing.
Wow. Well,
You'll give
Frank,
it offering in the
Frank,
Menashe role. Yeah.
do me a big favor. If you go to the site, just write that in. I mean, I'm going to put that down when we run a couple of them on the show next week. I thought about the Zulu and the Zeta, and I thought, nah, But since it's not me doing it,
With
putting down
Glenn,
Frank London.
with Glenn Berger again, I created a really funny show for Town Hall a few years ago called From Moses to Mastel, the history of the Jews as told by Broadway musicals.
Oh,
And we
Love it.
made a narrative using songs. And what I found through the magic of Google is that basically every single song, every single story in the Bible has a musical written about it, not more of them. Some of them are horrible and amateur, but every story has, and I found, I mean, you guys live in that world, I don't, but I didn't know the apple tree, and I discovered Harold Rome and
2 by 2. Did you discover 2 by 2, Danny Kaye?
Of course, we did stuff from 2 by 2.
No, I'm just asking.
No, because
Throwing it out
we went through every Bible story and found a song. But oh my God, the worst one of all. Oh, it's so good, it's so bad, and I have to call my wife. I've forgotten what we used it, but it was so bad. It was mostly on film, and I'll never.
Well, what was the story? What was the Bible story?
Yeah, talk among yourselves for
I was
one
just gonna
minute.
check.
Tina.
I tried writing an Onan musical, but it was all by myself, and yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a stroke of bad luck. But David Sheward,
I get that one too.
Thank you. I didn't get to say.
So did I. It's very bad.
Okay. Val Kilmer sang the.
Oh, King David.
Yeah, is it called King David?
It was a Disney thing. Disney
yes,
was doing an
that's
origin
the
called
one.
King David.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
cartoons.
So
Cartoon.
atrocious.
Oh,
It
no.
might be- he says it's King David. I don't think that's the name, but that's the story. It is the story. You're right. That's not the name. But we found the one song that we could do, and I brought in my best friend who's a Punjabi percussionist, and we made a Bhangra remake out of the song. But what was the big song? Is anyone listening?
That's the song.
Is anyone listening?
1756.
And it wasn't Val Kilmer who sang it. It was a guy who was famous because he was like on The Voice or America's Most something like this. It's amazing. It's so bad.
I think Alice Ripley was in that, and I'm not
It's
joking.
about Moses. You're wrong. It's the 10 Commandments. It's the 10.
So I'm thinking of a different. There was a King David musical, so this is a whole different thing. Or wait, I'm lost now. When you're saying Val Kilmer was Moses in the 10 Commandments on a musical, that's wow.
Let me-
What?
Yes.
I thought he said he was King David.
It's called The 10 Commandments, the musical, starring Val Kilmer as Moses.
Wow!
It's an amazing.
I have to say though.
And I'm sorry. And the big song is called "Is Anybody Listening?" sung by Adam Lambert. That's it.
Oh wow!
Oh my God. But I have to say that's a red flag to a critic. If you put a song called "Is Anybody Listening" into a show, critics can just go, "Should I do
No.
it? Shouldn't
No,
I
no.
do it? Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it?"
Or
You don't
actually,
do that, David. How you're above all that, David Sheward? I'm not above that at
It,
all.
depends on the show.
That's the point. It depends on the show.
should
But
we
if it's there, it's a trigger for sure.
should you see this musical? Thou shalt not. No, it's absolutely not.
No,
And where is David to be found? You haven't.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. David Sheward, you can read his writings in both his blog, The David Desk, as well as his theater writings in culturalweekly.com and theaterlife.com. Did you review anything this week? Any virtual?
I am about to finish a review of John Cullum's solo show.
Yeah.
John Cullum : Accidental Star, which I should finish today, and hopefully it will be up online.
I saw that. How did you like it?
I enjoyed it. It was a nice, concise little 80 minute show, and it's remarkable. Mr. Cullum is 90 years old, and he's still performing, and he's still got his voice and everything, and very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Yeah, he's. And
Have
I
you
was
seen musicals yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I know it's online somewhere, virtual version.
Yeah, it's for the York. It's a benefit for the York.
Kind of a thing.
It's got some great cast members, including Patti LuPone. What?
Also interesting is the news about Scott Rudin.
Oh, well, yeah, we were talking
about That's a nice word for it. Interesting.
Well,
I have a Scott Rudin story.
Yeah. Which is, I was talking about this in Inside Broadway before, that Karen Olivo left Moulin Rouge as a protest against Scott Rudin, and he's not a producer on Moulin Rouge.
He's not even involved.
Yeah.
I don't know that's a good reason that she gave. I don't know that's what her reason was.
Well, the update also is, I don't know if there's an update, I just saw it online, is that Rudin is stepping away from all of the shows he's involved in.
Including Music Man, so, I didn't know that. Wow.
And he wrote a letter of apology to the legions of people that he has mistreated.
He crumpled it up and threw it at them.
Yeah.
From the littlest of you to the stars, I'm apologizing. Right. I could just hear what it would sound like. I have a Scott Rudin story real quick. At the Signature Theater, because I have a handicap, I always got that lovely in the big theater. I always got that lovely first row where there's nothing in front of you. I think it's E, but I don't remember. Anyway, it's that lovely first row. And I go to my seat, and there's a guy that I think I recognize. I think he runs the working theater in my head. That's Hirschhorn. That's Larry Hirschhorn. But in my head, because and I think it's Larry. And I put my finger on his knee in a friendly way, not any kind of, but just like to get his attention. And I go, "Hi, I haven't seen you in so long. I think that's my seat." And he goes back with a big smile. "No, it's not." So I went, "Okay." He said, "There is one next to me. You're more than welcome to have that one." I went, "Okay." And I sat in the seat. And the show goes up. I don't remember what the show was. And the show is going on for about 10 minutes. And I go, "Oh, fuck. That wasn't Larry. That was Scott Rudin. I don't even know Scott Rudin. I've never met Scott Rudin."
Well,
so that was my introduction. He doesn't remember me from a hole in the wall.
Well,
but I used the opportunity to send him a script saying, "It was lovely seeing you at the Signature last week. Have you got time to look at this?" I got a lovely letter back, which was not thrown at me, saying, "No, thanks very much. We don't accept submissions except by agents." That was
but
I did it anyway. So
yeah. Well, he was a gentleman both times, so I'm happy to hear
he was a gentleman both times. He did not harm me. He did not grab my hand. He didn't do anything. It was just funny that was,
yeah.
And then all of this comes out, and I think, "Oh, what he could have done." No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you had gotten if he had produced your play, forget it.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna on Broadway. You would make $1 million and still hated him. That's what would have happened.
Right. I had no reason to hate him personally. He never did anything wrong to me except not to produce the play. That's all.
Well, that's the thing with everybody putting pressure on Hugh Jackman and saying, "How can you appear in The Music Man if he's produced?" Well, Hugh Jackman's play. Well,
now it's okay.
Yeah. I love. By the way, watch our show. The little bit that Paul Rudnick's monologue for. Help me out, David. The one that was just done as a pop-up. Nathan. The monologue for Nathan. We had some, and we put it up, and it's the part about Hugh Jackman coming to the apartment.
Oh,
cool. So watch it, please, if if for no other reason, if I can't get you to my site in any other way, I'm going to lure you with Hugh Jackman and Nathan Lane. How's that?
Well, you should lure them with maybe some Frank London music. Then everybody would come.
I probably have seen stuff that you've done, Frank, because I'm a big folk speener person. I don't know. Did you ever work with the folk speener? You worked with Eleanor.
I certainly have done stuff with them. And
we interviewed Zalman several times and went to many shows. Long before Fiddler, we were big fans, you know.
Hopefully, they're going to produce my opera.
Oh, knock wood. Okay, which
is that about the ghetto music also? Or is that a different?
No, it's another thing, but it's very funny because they're both apropos of our history quiz. They're both around events from this around 1512. But this is it's a Yiddish Cuban opera. It's a Yiddish Cuban nightclub opera that tells the story of a Taino chief named Hatway who led an armed uprising against the conquistadors and was martyred.
Okay. I mean, why did you go there?
Because there was a Jewish refugee from escaping the pogroms who his family couldn't get into the US because it was right after the restrictive immigration. And he ended up in Havana because he couldn't get into the US. And he grew up in Havana in the 30s. And he started the first Yiddish newspaper in Havana. And then he wrote as a gift to Cuba, the country that saved him when no one else would take him in. He wrote, this is his introduction. He goes, I give you the story of your first great hero, Hatway. And he writes a 100-page epic poem in Yiddish about this uprising.
Wow. And then they sent him back. It's like, who's going to read a 100-page poem? Get out of here.
Actually, it was translated into Spanish almost immediately and taught in the schools, who mostly don't know that it was written in Yiddish by a Jewish guy. Because this is like, Hatway is somewhere between George Washington and Johnny Appleseed. And he's the epic hero.
See, if you asked me what's a Hatway, I'd say, about 5 ounces, 6 ounces, depending if it's a Humbert or something.
Nice.
Hemingway.
You know, that's why there were so many Chinese in Cuba. That's where the Cuban Chinese cuisine.
Yeah.
Because the law was basically the Yellow Peril law, and it was to keep the Chinese out. And Cuba was closer for them also. And there was a total assimilation. All of the people in the Chinese Cuban restaurants spoke perfect Spanish. All of the Asian people in those restaurants. Over the years, I don't know if that's still a big cuisine or not because I don't go out to eat anymore. But when we went out to eat, there were lots of them. I lived in Chelsea, and there were Mi Chinita and Cubano and other restaurants like that were.
I miss those. I miss those so much.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh well, there we are.
There we are. Well, here we are. It is about, oh my God, it's 10 after 12 Eastern Time in the Daverhood. You're watching Dave's Gone By. We're a bit overtime. We still have more to do on the program, but we, alas, have to let our guests go, who have been just delightful. So Leslie Hoban Blake, David Sheward, and our new friend of the Daverhood. So thrilled and so glad to have Frank London on the program. Thank you to all of you. So I'm gonna let you go individually as we finish up the rest of Dave's Gone By on this April 17th. Have a great week, guys. Stay healthy and hope to see you all soon. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Shalom to you. Hold on, removing him and don't report. It's just takes a moment. There's no other.
Bye, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye to Prince Philip too. Bye.
Come on, get out of there. Oh,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, yes. Dave's Gone By is the program. This is our 794th episode. We're calling it Tower of London for having such a marvelous guest in the neighborhood, Frank London, as well as Leslie Hoban Blake and David Sheward. On this day, remember that you can watch and hear all of our older episodes by going to davesgoneby.com, davesgoneby.com. But we also put our archives at a nonprofit site called archive.org, and that's just, you can go there. It doesn't matter whether you watch them on my site or archive.org. It's the same stuff, just in different places. We put our audio archives at castbox.fm, castbox.fm. So if you're on the go and you just want to hear the audio, you don't need this visual, although I rather like this visual, it's good for podcasting, castbox.fm. Remember that if you are on Long Island in Nassau County or thereabouts, and you get Altice Cablevision Channel 20, Monday mornings at 1, it's 1 in the morning, 1 a.m., or Tuesdays at 4 in the morning on Channel 20, you can see an hour-long excerpt of Dave's Gone By. It's completely random. We chop them up. We just throw them on there. Just really, the idea is to bring more people to the show, to watch it live on Facebook on Saturday mornings, or to our archives and watch it anytime you want. And by the way, if you can also, I always forget to mention this, that our Facebook page, if you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, you'll see all the Facebook videos of the Saturday morning shows that we've done the past 3.5 years. So again, it's the same show, whether you watch it at davesgoneby.com or archive.org or on Facebook. Best place to start, though, is davesgoneby.com. That is the home base. That is all things Dave and the Daverhood. Well, we have, oh my gosh, what else do we have to do? Okay, we want to bring Rabbi Saul Solomon back for just a little bit because we have him. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Rabbi Saul did something this week. Let me get rid of this and let me see, make sure I can find it on my desktop and share it with all of you. So here's the deal. I mentioned this early in the program that Rabbi Saul heard about something that they were doing for Manhattan Class Company, which is this off-Broadway theater. It's been around for a lot of years. They call themselves MCC Theater now. Well, they are doing a fundraiser for themselves. And one of the ways they do this, and they've been doing this for a few years, is a benefit called Miscast. Now, they used to do it in person, in a cabaret kind of a way, where they get actors and singers to do songs that they would not be appropriate for. You know how David and Leslie were just talking about bringing back revivals and, who would be great to be in MAME, and who would be just perfect casting to if they revive Fiddler on the Roof again. Well, the idea of this is, who is someone who would never get that kind of a role, but might actually do a cool version of the song? So I was goofing before that you wouldn't get Nathan Lane singing I Am 16 Going on 17 instead of a goof, unless it was a goof. But, why wouldn't necessarily you have Bernadette Peters doing I Am I Man of, Lord of La Mancha? She would never be casting it, but maybe she wants to do the song. So the idea is miscast. Well, Rabbi Saul Solomon was thinking, I'm an actor, I'm a performer, I'm a singer of sorts.
He's a rabbi.
And he is a man of the cloth, and he's made of whole cloth. What if I, Rabbi Saul, was miscasting something? Because he should be Tevye, of course, or Meyer Rothschild in the Rothschilds, and many other roles he could play, including the mother character in Lorraine Hansberry's. I'm blanking on the name.
I don't know.
Lorraine Hansberry's play about the black family on the couch of Raising in the Sun.
Oh.
Always wanted to play that role. He's probably never going to do that. But it occurred to Rabbi Saul that he won't be cast in the upcoming Broadway-aimed revival of a play that played on Broadway in 1971, 50 years ago now, called Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death. And it's a look at black life and sort of urban ghetto misery black life in the late 60s, early 70s, done by the great Melvin Van Peebles. And somehow this actually made it to Broadway. That's the kind of what Broadway was like back in the early 70s. And they were even nominated for a number of Tonys. They have a 9-minute segment on the 1971 Tony Awards devoted to Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death. Well, Rabbi Sal thought, there's a song in there that I could knock out of the park.
Oh, boy.
And I'm going to do it for Miscast 2021. So I don't know if Rabbi Sal will make the cut of Miscast, but since everything makes a cut on this show, we're going to share it with you. We're going to share Rabbi Sal's submission to Miscast 2021 from Manhattan Class Company. So I'm going to try opening this and see if this works. And I'm going to try sharing my screen. I'm hoping this will work. I really am. Let me see. How do I? Where's my Zoom so that I can share the screen?
And put the sound on first.
Oh, hold on. Where's my share screen? Stop lives, breakout rooms, reaction, share screen. Here it is. So here it goes. I'm going to the QuickTime player of my movie. I'm going to share it. Looks like it's pretty good. Looks like this is going to work. So without further ado or a don't, something very Jewish and very wrong. Rabbi Sal Solomon performing an excerpt, because they want only like a 30-second clip, an excerpt of Put a Curse on You from Melvin Van Peebles' Ain't Supposed to Die, a Natural Death. Well, I have to start it. Hold on. Shalom, damn it! This is Rabbi Sal Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York, and I am delighted to be taking part in Miscast. The song that I would like to do is Put a Curse on You from Melvin Van Peebles' Broadway show, Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death, that they will be reviving very soon on Broadway. Put a curse on you! Put a curse on you! May all your children marry Goyim too! Your mama charges by the pound to buy herring by the ounce! May your young daughters marry an Uber driver too! Put a curse on you! Put a curse on you! Put a curse on you, goddammit! Put a curse on you! May your folks kiss the tuchus of your enemies, God, too! And every time you get a new hip, may Hashem put pain in the old one, too! Put a curse on you! Put a curse on you! Thank you so much. I usually have to, hold on, let me stop the screen share here. I usually have to apologize several times in the show, so please send your comments and complaints to Dave's Gone By.
Dave Sheward.
That's like David Sheward at Backstage.com. No, Dave's Gone By at AOL.com is my email address. So anything you want to send me, any thoughts, suggestions, ideas about the show, what you liked, what you didn't like, or anything from Rabbi Saul, Dave's Gone By at AOL.com is the email address, or feel free to post right on this Facebook page as well. If you want to find out more about Rabbi Sal Solomon, go to his website, shalomdammit.com, shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. So, speaking of theater, Rabbi Sal did a one-man show at the Richmond Shepherd Theater. They recorded it years ago. You can watch it right on shalomdammit.com. You can also see his hilarious 10 episodes of a TV show that he did on Long Island cable TV about 10, 15 years ago now. All of it, shalomdammit.com. Do check it out. So, and his Twitter feed is at Rabbi Sal Solomon. So here's the deal. It's 20 after 12 in the afternoon already, and we still have a bit more to do on this episode of Dave's Gone By. We're going to get backed up with Greeley crimes and old times because we have so many of them. So let's do just a few, if you're cool with that, hon. Before we table the program.
Okay.
And put the program on the table. We'll just do a few, and then we'll do our Friends of the Daverhood and our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. And boy, oh boy, what a show we've had for you today. But first, it's time to get criminal. As we mentioned before, Greeley Crimes and Old Times is based on 2 columns in the Greeley Tribune newspaper. One of them is about phone calls that come into police dispatch, about people seeing weird things in the neighborhood in northern Colorado. We mix that with 100 years ago, stuff that was in the paper back in 1921. It's called Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and it should go something like this. Da-da-da-da. Fiddly oten dee twee. Yes, Greeley Crimes and Old Times it is on this Saturday, April 17th, 2021. Are you ready to get criminalized, my darling? Here we go. First crime of the day. A caller on 24th Avenue reported that a branch had broken off and was on top of their house. The caller wanted to know what to do. Do you call the police in that situation?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wait, I know what you do.
What do you do? I don't know. I guess if there was a tree on my property, I suppose I would. Ah! Anywho, moving forward, a man on 12th Avenue Court reported that he received videos from people stating that he was put on blast on social media. The man had questions about defamation. Have you ever been put on blast on? Do you even know what that is?
I guess like you're viral.
Oh, really? Oh,
They're like, defaming him.
Please, even if it's defamation, blast me on social media. Let people know my name. I'm just saying. By the way, a woman on 9th Street that reported that her neighbors were messing with her TV. I mean, this is not back in the day when you could go up and mess with somebody's rabbit ears. How do you mess with, like...
I think they were talking to her TV.
Maybe she's got to put the tinfoil on.
Yeah, she didn't have
If you
tinfoil
don't wear the tinfoil hat, the reception is not going to be good, I got to tell you. Let me do a couple of old-timey things as well. Again, these are from the Greeley Tribune newspaper, things that either happened a week or 2 or 3 ago in Greeley, Colorado, or were printed in the newspaper many, many years ago in Greeley, Colorado. So this is from 1921. One of the distinguished citizens of Colorado was in the Greeley house the other day talking with other citizens of Colorado, and he made this remark. "There is not a virtuous woman in the territory." I would say, every man should move there then. "See here," said one, "do you know that I have a wife and sister?" "Yes," says another, "and after you get through with him, I will take him and finish him, take it back, and take it back quick." "Hold on, gentlemen," said the distinguished citizen, I take it back." And that was the end of the story.
It's kind of sad.
They actually made the newspapers back in 1921, just this argument of some guy calling all the women in town whores.
Well, that's bad. I mean, that is like social media blasting, right?
Yeah, that was the equivalent. You're right, back then of, I don't know, what were the women in Greeley like? Maybe he knew more than we did. I don't know. Yes. And here's another one. "You're a liar," or words to that effect, is what some in the States would say if one should try to describe the many pleasant summer-like days we have in February and March. Describe the few days of cold, high winds, and they would be glad to believe it, for such they know all about. They will require many years to believe the truth. To make them believe will be as difficult as to convert them. Which is all by the way of saying that people just don't get that February and March in Colorado, northern Colorado, you can literally have 75-degree days in the afternoon.
30-degree night.
Yeah. But anywho, I was hoping these things would be funnier this week. Let's see. This is again from 1921. During last week's windstorm, a man leaving Greeley found a black hat belonging to a woman. It's been turned over to the police, and to retrieve it, contact the police chief.
Mm-mm.
Well, she's not going to go on a Saturday, because if she's a black hatter, they have to wait until Shabbos is over.
There's that, Mar.
It could be. Let's do some more modern time criminality as well. This will soon happen in New York. Happened in Colorado. A woman on 13th Street reported that 2 teenagers asked if they could shovel the snow from her driveway. But then they stole her marijuana pipe off the front porch.
There you No,
What
never,
amazes me,
never leave your bong unattended.
you know how time is malleable? Like some things feel like
Yeah.
they're just yesterday and some things feel like forever. When we started doing Greeley Crimes in Old Times, marijuana wasn't even legal in Colorado.
I
It was,
know.
and now it's like it's part of Colorado life, and
That's
it's
all
now
New
legal in New
York.
York.
I mean, look at even gambling. When I was a child, we could gambling. So I lived in a mafia-infused neighborhood.
Yeah.
So they had gambling, like those machines and stuff. But gambling was illegal. Now you could go get your COVID shot and gamble, right?
And well, I don't know, is gambling legal in New York yet, or do you have to kind of go?
I think no. They have a casino at Aqueduct.
Really?
Yeah, there was a casino there.
I didn't know. I didn't see that.
I'll show
I mean,
you.
obviously, horse racing is gambling too. Maybe they sit in that particular place or an OTV, but still, then why not build Claridges and things
I made a mistake.
in Manhattan? I'd be
I guess
curious.
it's zoning. Resorts World, the only casino in New York. It's right near Aqueduct. Highest payout. Mm-hmm.
Whoa, go figure. Huh.
Yeah.
And I honestly,
Gambling near JFK Airport. What?
you're gambling on a plane at JFK. Here's the deal. Oh,
They say if you go on a plane, don't eat. Because you have to take off your mask and don't touch anything. If you touch stuff, use your antibacterial wash.
all right, but if I'm going on a 6-hour, I'm going to drink water. I'm going to have to pull down my mask to have a beverage for sure, and I'm going to have to probably go into a bathroom and pull down something else. Speaking of which,
Oh no.
a man on 7th Avenue, this is in Colorado, Greeley, Colorado, reported seeing his neighbor on camera standing at his doorstep. The neighbor left a cup of milk and then pulled down his pants to possibly urinate. What an interesting thing to see on your porch.
Yeah.
First of all, who leaves a cup of milk? Like a bottle.
A cat needs a cup of milk.
And then, while the milk is there, assumedly not into the milk, the man pulls down. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the people in your neighborhood? I gotta say, let's do something that pulls us briefly away from Greeley, Colorado, for Greeley Crimes in Old Times. We do one story every week that is not part of northern Colorado. That is a weird story from elsewhere in the world. And, you know this one. This is wonderful. I love this. I love the writing on this. You want to talk about making something that's prosaic and special. This is the kind of thing that makes me wish I was still teaching English at the university. Because I would say, a cover letter is this and this and this, and an essay has this format and this and this and this, and they'd be like, oh, how boring. But you can spice something up. You can take even the most boring, dull, prosaic piece of writing that you have to do and find ways to make it special and to make it pop and to make it beautiful. Well, here is someone who took a for sale ad and made it certainly their own. And this is a story that was published actually by Today, the Today Show on their website. Francesca Gariano wrote the story. A tweet about a demonic chihuahua named Prancer, who is up for adoption, has gone viral on Twitter. Tiffany Fortuna, Prancer's current foster owner, shared a post to Facebook on April 7th with photos and videos of the 2-year-old pup. She tried to make the dog sound appealing to future adoptive owners. Quote, I've tried for the last several months to post this dog for adoption and make him sound palatable, wrote Fortuna. The problem is, he's just not. There's not a big market for neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dogs that look like gremlins. But I have to believe there's someone out there for Prancer because I am tired, and so is my family. Every day, we live in the grips of this demonic Chihuahua hellscape that he has created in our home. Quote, fellow Chihuahua owners understand what I'm talking about because Prancer embodies the Chihuahua meme, 50% hate and 50% tremble.
Oh my God.
Isn't that wonderful? The ad continues. This is an ad. This is an ad for adopting a dog. Quote, if you're intrigued and horrified.
Oh, David.
Yeah, what?
Nathan's will give you a free hot dog if you go there on the day you get your shot. I know. I'm sorry.
Now I want to get another shot.
Okay.
Fellow, if you are intrigued and horrified at how this animal sounds already, just wait. There's more. Prancer, this is still the owner of Prancer writing this ad to get people to adopt the dog. Foster owner, sorry, yeah. Prancer came to me obese, wearing a cashmere sweater.
Oh, no.
With a bacon, egg, and cheese stuffed in his crate with him.
Wow.
I should have known.
That's how I got you.
I came though with an egg cream on the side. I should have known right then that this dog would be a problem. She explained that his previous owner was an elderly woman who treated Prancer like he was a human and didn't socialize him. Quote, and this is the foster owner again, sprinkling a little genetic predisposition for being nervous, and you've concocted a neurotic mess, a.k.a. Prancer. His first week, he was too terrified to have a personality. I kind of liked him better that way. But back then, I was excited to see him come out of his shell and become a real dog. Now I know he's not a real dog. He's a vessel for a traumatized Victorian child that now haunts our home. That may be the greatest piece of genius writing you will ever read this year. This dog is a traumatized...
He got a home?
Well, here's the deal. There's a little more to the story here. Prancer likes only women. So if you have a husband, don't bother applying unless you hate him. Now, Fortuna understands that the dog Prancer might be a hard sell and that, quote, finding someone who wants a Chucky doll in a dog's body is hard.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste. Yeah.
Oh, she adds, and he's only 2 years old and will probably live to be 21 through pure spite. This is true. Prancer is available for adoption through Second Chance Pet Adoption League in Morris Plains, New Jersey.
Him. Let me see.
And yes, because it's gone viral, they've gotten many calls and emails. A spokesperson for the Adoption League wrote, we've had lots of lovely, well-meaning people inquiring, and we hope that every one of them goes to their local shelter or rescue and opens their home to a needy dog like Prancer. Maybe not just like Prancer, she wrote.
They're all talking about the ad, but I don't know. Let's see.
Well, there's also been a Twitter storm over this wonderful ad with tweets including, quote, Prancer should be the New Jersey state mascot.
That's true.
Someone else wrote, quote, Prancer is a queer icon and I would die for him.
He doesn't like men.
And this is my favorite quote. If I ever had to write a Tinder bio, I would just copy and paste Prancer's, unquote.
Oh, Prancer.
So yeah, are you seeing anything? Did they unload or offload?
Have just a lot of pictures of him.
Yeah.
He's very cute,
but he's a horror monster of a dog. I do hope he gets it.
He's very overweight and he likes to eat Big Macs or something.
Oh dear God. Anyway.
Every day we live in the grips of the demonic Chihuahua hellscape that he has created.
Yeah.
Whoever wrote that should write
brilliant. Brilliantly written. Wonderful
Everything's
stuff.
like 4 days ago.
Anyway, that is the story of Prancer here on Greeley Crimes and Old Times. I'm thinking we should just let's see. Should I? We'll do a couple more of Greeley Crimes and then we'll call it a day on that. A man on 29th Street called to report that an unknown person made a copy of his mailbox key and was stealing his mail. The man wanted to know if he could be moved to a new mailbox. I did actually try that. I tried to get a locksmith to make a copy of my mailbox key just in case I lost it. And they can't do it. They won't do it. It's federal. Right? Yeah. So, anywho. An employee at a restaurant on 10th Street called to report a man walking in and out of the restaurant. The man then told the employee that he left $4,000 in the restaurant's bathroom and someone stole it. So, what do you think the game is? What's the con? What's
I think it's called I Need Help.
the?
Why would you leave? What was the restaurant?
It's a restaurant on 10th Street. I don't have the.
So it's probably a fast food place. Why would you leave? Leave that much money in a fast food place?
$4,000 in a fast food bathroom. I have no clue. Yeah.
Not good. Yeah.
We'll do two more, and then we'll call it. A caller on 26th Street reported that their neighbors were having a loud party with lots of yelling and hollering. However, the caller stated the noise didn't sound like a fight. He thought it sounded like a good time.
Okay.
So why are you calling the con? Well, it was 11:45 at night, so yeah. And then on the next day, a caller on 15th Avenue Court reported a man lying in a driveway for hours. And then the man just sat up and acknowledged the caller.
Good.
Is that a new thing? Is it sunbathing on people's
I
driveways?
like that. Like, hey.
It's like, I'm just tanning.
Isn't it private property? I don't think you can.
I guess not. That's why you call the cops. And
You
that's
know what they
why
did?
what? Certainly in Greeley, Colorado they would.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And that, my friends, is why we call this Greeley Crimes. Let me pull that up there. Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, 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 yi, yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Oh, my friends, it is 20 to 1 p.m. here in the Daverhood Eastern Time. So happy to have such a wonderful program today. And I've got just week after week, we've had these marvelous programs, in my personal opinion. But I hope you have enjoyed them too. Part of what has made them special is having such fine guests as we've had. For example,
the quiz is taking its own. The quiz should be its own show.
yeah, the quiz is now it's like an hour and a half long.
It's like 10 questions and 25,000 minutes. Well,
it's wonderful, and they all get into it. And Frank was great,
and they know each other.
Yeah.
It's like 6 degrees of like Kevin Bacon.
So a big thank you
Mm-hmm.
once more to Leslie Hoban Blake for taking part in the quiz. You can.
Did your guest get anything or no?
No, but that's okay. He definitely got participation points. It was great. So we should have asked him to write the theme song for it. That's what we should have done. But here, that of course was Leslie Hoban Blake playing with David Sheward, playing with the our new friend of the neighborhood, Frank London. Remember that franklondon.com is his website, and that Ghetto Songs is his brand new album of songs that were taken from like the Venice Ghetto 500 years ago to the Warsaw Ghetto to all these ghettos that were in between Ghetto Songs from Frank London. These are all now friends of the neighborhood. And by the way, thank you very much to Mark Gorney for helping set up the Frank London interview too. Friends of the neighborhood are people who have been on this program over the past months and years. We're very grateful to them for being with us, and we keep tabs on them. Because once they're on the show, they're family. They're friends. We like to let you know what they've been up to, and we tend to call that particular segment Friends of the Daverhood. So, of course, on Inside Broadway, we've been talking about, off-Broadway theater starting to do some things, Broadway planning for the fall, and theater starting to happen all over the country. Cabaret is starting to happen again, too. The New York Cabaret clubs, in a distant fashion, are trying to reopen their doors after more than a year. It's amazing they're still in business. Well, one of those places is Don't Tell Mamas, and the booking coordinator there is our friend and performer, Sidney Myers. Well, Sidney Myers is booking, and La Mama is reopening for indoor performances. So a big shout out to him, and certainly much continued and further along success for Sydney and Don't Tell Mamas. I want to let you know that Larry Kerwin, his book, Rockaway Blue, is out. It was published by Cornell University Press back in mid-March. It's called Rockaway Blue, and it just got a rave in The Wave, that's the newspaper there, in the Rockaways. So congratulations. It's got some very, very nice reviews for Larry Kerwin. Of course, he is a musician and was a member of the group Black 47, which he founded. Now he's a solo musician and a novelist and a writer. So congrats. You can read the Wave newspaper online and find the review of Larry Kerwin's Rockaway Blue. Want to let you know, speaking of novels, John Ruane has written a thriller called A Dangerous Freedom, and you can get that from Amazon.com. The publisher is Post Hill Press for John Ruane's novel, A Dangerous Freedom. Letting you know, we were just talking about John Cullum, the marvelous actor, the guy from Shenandoah, and On a Clear Day You Can See Forever, and of course TV's Northern Exposure. He's doing a one-man show about his life and career. And Joyce and I have watched it. We enjoyed it. He sings. His voice, he still does have a voice. It's very vibrato-y now. But he can hold the notes and he can still power through a song, some of the songs that he made famous. I think that the thing that surprised me most and shocked me most a little bit about this is that he spends about 5-10 minutes of this show on losing his mom, which is a very kind of, you're not expecting it because you figure it's something that everybody does or will go through and part of everything. But it really had this effect on him that he feels to this day. And it's a pretty powerful part of what is otherwise, here's a backstage story. Or here's so-and-so who I met. And then I got this role even though I wasn't really looking for it. And I did a terrible audition. It's all cute stories like that. But underneath it is some heavy stuff as well. So it's definitely worth watching. John Cullum's An Accidental Star. We also bring that up because our friend of the Daverhood, Lonnie Price, directed it. And you can see that online. It's now running through May 6th. They've extended it by 2 weeks. So go see John Cullum, An Accidental Star. I want to let you know that today, April 17th, Katie Huffman is part of a reunion of the producers. This is going to be on Stars in the House, that is run by Seth Rudetsky, my not colleague, my co-alumnus in junior high school and high school. And now Katie Huffman, of course, a friend of the Daverhood, she'll be there with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick and these other people who are on Broadway in the producers. It's a benefit for the Actors Fund, and you can watch it at starsinthehouse.com. That is happening tonight. Also, starting tonight and running through May 1st, Pete and Keeley, the musical with Sally Mays. And that is being done at papermill.org. I believe that is online. I believe that is not in person. Pete and Keeley, the musical with Sally Mays. What else do I want to let you know? That starting tomorrow and running just for a couple of days, Andre DeShields and Mandy Patinkin, he's our enemy, but he was on the show for a few seconds. Andre DeShields in Musical of Musicals, The Musical, a benefit for the York Theatre. David Sheward was talking about that, and Leslie was before. So that is happening tomorrow through the 21st. Also, starting tomorrow, Sunday, April 18th, back off Broadway in a distanced fashion will be the long-running thriller Perfect Crime, featuring Catherine Russell, who was in it from the beginning when it opened in the late 1980s. So she's had more shows. I mean, literally thousands of shows. And up until the pandemic, I think she missed 3 or 4. Not even from sickness, just she had to go to a wedding one time. But otherwise, she's been in every one, and it's starting again tomorrow. Perfect Crime at the Theater Center off Broadway on West 50th Street. Oh, how are we getting... We're getting some more Rabbi Saul music here. I'm not sure how that's happening. Oh, dear. Well, let's get a little more Mozart going. There we go. Sorry about that. What else do we have? Linda Lavin and Christine Petty. They both have cameos on a new album, and there's going to be an album release party That is coming up. Well, it's coming up in a week and a half for Nicholas King's self-titled album on Club 44 Records. So I'll tell you more about that next week. But I do also want to tell you that Andre the Shields is doing something live at the Lortel. That is happening on Monday. Go to liveatthelortel.com. Penny Fuller and Bob Dishy, they have both separately been in the Daverhood, and they are both appearing together in a play reading on Monday, April 19th. The play is, wait a minute. Is it? Yeah, it's I Can't Remember Anything. It's a late era Arthur Miller play. That's 80 St. Mark's Place. They're actually going to physically do it live, but it's a streaming thing. And this is happening on Monday from Food for Thought Productions. And letting you know that Daphne Rubin Vega is appearing with Jimmy Smits in Two Sisters and a Piano for newnormalrep.org. So Daphne Rubin Vega, she was in the original Rent, and she was on our show many, many years ago. So a big shout out to her. I want to remind you that Evan Seplow is the founder and editor of StageBuddy.com. Dr. Demento, you can hear his old shows as well as the new shows he does every week. 80-year-old Dr. Demento at drdemento.com. Bob Cudmore doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And soundsofbroadway.com from our friend Stuart Brown for 24 hours of show music. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is about 10 to 1. Whew. Eastern time. What a show. What a Dave's Gone By episode we've had for you today. 10 to 1, all the stuff we did. The Inside Broadway, the Greeley Crimes and Old Times, the Today Yesterday quiz, the wonderful interview between Rabbi Saul Solomon and Frank London. That's enough for any show, isn't it? Isn't it? Mm-hmm. No, not quite, because we have one more item on the menu for this marvelously overstuffed edition of Today in the Daverhood. It is, of course, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. This is where every week I make up a little 5-line poem about some town, city, or municipality in beautiful Colorado. And this week we go to a place called Crook, Colorado, and we'll get there by hook, I think we will. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Crook, Colorado, and then I'm going to read a pretty terrible poem, all about it, that I wrote with my own little fingers. Our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain,
Yes, Colorado, indeed. Thank you, Christine Lavin. So here we go. This is going to be a poem about a place called Crook, Colorado. I'm telling you, I've written now dozens and dozens of these poems. 70% of the places I write about, I've never even heard of. And even living in Colorado for almost a decade. But here we go. There's a Crook, Colorado. It's a statutory town in upper northeast Colorado. Population is 110 people living on 1/10 of a square mile. You know, it's like a block long. Named after Civil War General George Crook, who also, by the way, was went after the Indians. So he was not necessarily remembered well by history. He's the town of Crook started with cattle ranching. Then they went into beet farming, and now basically there's not really a lot there. There's a museum, a former there was a church that was made into a museum, a gas station, and a cafe. A lot of people go there game hunting for waterfowl. Amazingly, astonishingly enough, the makeup of the town is 100% white. I mean, you go to Colorado, it's usually 93, 95. It's like, no, Crook, Colorado, it's like pure. It's ivory snow over there. But we're going to darken the doorstep of Crook, Colorado with our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. So can you, No naughty words here for the children, but naughty thoughts, definitely. That's why it's a limerick. And here we go. A disciplined hooker from Crook keeps all of her fees in a book. It's 50 to spank, 100 to wank, but only $12 to look. As I said, please send your comments and complaints to davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com. Remember, you can see our archives or hear them at davesgoneby.com or archive.org or the audio at castbox.fm or watch our stuff on YouTube or on Facebook, and as well Monday mornings at 1 and Tuesday early mornings at 4. Yep. On Channel 20 on Long Island. You can see excerpts of the show from Comcast, Altice, whatever the hell they call themselves. What else do I need to... Why should you come back next week since you've already spent 4 hours with us here? Well, here's the deal, folks. Check out some of the amazing guests that we have coming up in the Daverhood. So next Saturday, oh boy, Saturday, April 24th, our guest in the Daverhood is going to be Louise Lasser. That's right, Louise Lasser from Mary Hartman, and as well as a couple of the early Woody Allen films like Take the Money and Run. I think she also had a small part in Stardust Memories. That Louise Lasser, she's still teaching. She's still occasionally performing. As a matter of fact, she's doing these food for thought and productions things, these readings. So yeah, you can see her. Louise Lasser, and we'll be talking, or Rabbi Saul will be talking with her and her longtime companion, Michael, I hope I get this right, Michael Citriniti. And I think it should be a very, very, very fun time. Don't miss it. Next week in the Neighborhood, Louise Lasser. And then on May 1st, oh boy, very excited about this, we will have not only singer and musical theater actress Christiane Knoll being interviewed by Rabbi Saul, but later in that program, she cannot unfortunately stay to play the Today Yesterday game. But coming in to play it is our long time friend of the Neighborhood, somebody who's been on the show twice, and that is not common, the fine and delightful actor, musical theater actor, Jason Grahl.
Whoa.
And I was thinking, oh yeah, Jason's been on the show. He was on recently. No, he hasn't been on since 2011, or maybe 2012. So, it'll be terrific to get Jason Grahl back on the show playing our Today Yesterday quiz. And then on May 8th, we do have Richie Goldklang. We've been promising him for weeks and weeks. He had to cancel a couple of times. We had to move him one time. But Richie Goldklang of the 1960s garage band, The Third Bardo, will be joining us in early May. And then in mid-May, Kimberly Faye Greenberg, an actress who's doing a one-woman show about Fanny Bryce, she will be with us in the Neighborhood in May. So some really wonderful people coming up in the Neighborhood. This is why you have to check our Facebook page throughout the week. This is why you have to check davesgoneby.com all the time to see what we've got coming up. This is why you tune in every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts for another episode of Dave's Gone By. Next week will be our 795th. We're going to call it Geez Louise, in honor of Michael Citriniti and Louise Lasser joining us. I hope you will join us too. In the meantime, it just remains for me to thank you all so much for listening and watching. Thank you to my darling, wonderful, and adorable, and amazing wife, Joyce. Joyce, any thoughts you want to share? Anything you want to talk about as we near the 4-hour mark of the show?
I think we should save it for next week.
I think so, because we can talk about Greeley and opening up everything.
We should hold it, because look, David, that's late. You're late, honey.
I'm late. I'm I keep checking my pads and there's no discharge. So
you're late for a very important date.
I'm late for Oh, shall we thank also? Let's not forget.
Yes, como se
our llama. He's our new friend. What's your name? He's Lamy. Is that his name? Lamy. So welcome to the Daverhood, Lamy. He doesn't do much, but he's adorable to look at.
And that's the case with most of us.
Got him during the holidays. This got sort of. This is interesting. He has an interesting. It's not really a butt crack. What would you call this? Look at it.
That's his tushy, Mama.
Yeah, but why does it slant like this? Did he have surgery or something?
He's just unique.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. No wonder he gets grumpy when he's constipated. And to work its way out in a very interesting way. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of all of this. We'll see you next week for another edition of Dave's Gone By. Make it a great one. And, where's my... Oh, I hate this big sir! There goes the Daverhood gone by.
Dave's gone by.